really wanted to parfait or something like that. Deed or update the deed. So it had a little, like contract. Yeah.
That's right. It's been here since I've been here. Yeah.
That's right. I'll get the whole thing.
Yeah, we'll get that. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's when I'm popping up. That's fine. Bill Geddes. No, I'm with him. Right here, I traffic. We tag along. Oh, okay, good to see you. Thank you. Okay. Watch my
It's really cool. I finally got this one.
Are we ready to roll?
Yes, we are.
All right, 1, 2, I got 3, 4. Okay, we good.
Look, you just put it up there.
I did. Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Van Johnson,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem and District 5 Alderwoman Dr. Estella Edward Shabazz,
Present.
Chairman and District 4 Alderman Nick Palumbo,
Present.
Vice Chair and District 3 Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryan,
Happy New Year, y'all. Let's go.
Post 1 Alderwoman Carolyn H. Bell,
Present.
Post 2 Alderwoman Alicia Miller Blakely,
Present.
District 1 Alderwoman Bernetta B. Lanier,
She's here.
District 2 Alderman Dietrich Leggett,
Here.
and District 6 Alderman Curtis Pertee.
Present.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. All rise. I call this meeting of the Savannah City Council to order, the first meeting of the 140th administration in the year of 2025. We want to thank all of you for joining us, not only across our social media platforms, but also here in our temporary homes, and also on Channel 8, which I understand is now back up and running. So very happy about that. We are back on the air. Savannah will be a safe, environmentally healthy, and economically thriving community for all of its citizens. Today's invocator will be introduced by 2nd District Alderman Dietrich Leggett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I introduce the Reverend Cornelius J.E. Lloyd, I ask him to come to the podium, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Cornelius J.E. Lloyd is a native of Savannah, Georgia. He's educated in Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. Cornelius graduated from Herschel V. Jenkins High School in 2001. In 2005, he earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in sociology with an emphasis in business and African American studies from Georgia State University. In that same year, Cornelius heard the voice of the Lord calling him to ministry. For 8 years, Mr. Cornelius, as he was known to his young people, faithfully serving with a nonprofit agency in Atlanta, Georgia, working with children with incarcerated parents. The agency Forever Family Incorporated, formerly known as AIM, provided him with the opportunity to learn about the nonprofit sector, growing professionally and spiritually, and mentoring young people. After serving the metropolitan Atlanta area for 15 years, the Reverend Lloyd and his wife Ashley relocated to their hometown of Savannah, Georgia, with their 2 children, Kyla and Victor. He served as an associate pastor for youth and young people at Little Bryan Missionary Baptist Church, where Reverend Marvin L. Lloyd is the senior pastor. That's his daddy. Yeah. Since his return to Savannah, Lloyd has served in the community in various capacities with the State of Georgia Department of Community Supervision as a community supervisor officer, community coordinator for the Savannah Chatham Eastern District, and connecting citizens to resources as a part of the Georgia Prisoner Reentry Initiative program. In 2019, Cornelius joined the staff of Excel Strategies, a mentoring network where he served as a mentoring director. Chatham County, Lloyd has also served as an asset building coordinator with Step Up Savannah, established to address poverty and poverty reduction. In 2002, Lloyd became the assistant pastor of First African Baptist Church of East Savannah. You can clap with him.
Yeah.
At Savannah, Georgia, the first in the church's 125th history on April 30th, 2023. Reverend Lloyd was installed as the 15th pastor of the church's history. Lloyd is now the director of the neighborhood engagement with East Savannah United, a local community development nonprofit targeting the east side of Savannah, Pastor Cornelius J.E. Lloyd believes that God can do exceedingly abundantly above everything. That's right.
Amen.
We can ask or think, and all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord.
That's right.
And are called according to God's purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Reverend Lloyd.
All right.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and all those who are citizens of this great city. As we gather here today in the beginning of the new year, let us take a moment to reflect on the journey ahead of us, a journey marked by hope and collaboration and unity. Today, I invite each of you to set aside differences and embrace the spirit of togetherness that defines our beloved city of Savannah. In the words of Proverbs, we are reminded of the wisdom passed down through generations. Get wisdom in all of your understanding. It should be at the top of your list. They called us to prioritize wisdom and understanding in our discussions and decisions. Wisdom is not just an abstract concept. It is the foundation upon which we build our community, guiding us to listen to one another, value each voice, and seek common ground. As we stand in this new year, let us commit ourselves to a collaborative state of unity across the city of Savannah. We are a vibrant tapestry woven together with diverse threads of culture, background, and experience. Let us bring together, all of us together at a unique table towards a common vision, a Savannah that thrives through collective effort, mutual respect, and shared understanding. Justice and equity are two principles that we must guide our discussions today. As we navigate the challenges before us, let us remember our responsibility to advocate for, to hear, and to feel the marginalized and the unheard. Each decision we make has the potential to impact us and impact our lives and the generations ahead. As we enter in this meeting, let us encourage one another to carry the spirit of collaboration. Let us envision a Savannah as we aspire to create a city where wisdom guides our actions, justice prevails, and the residents feel valued and included. Together, we have the power to shape a brighter future for all. Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity you've given us. Let us move forward together to be all that you've called us to be. In Christ's name we say, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. We will now honor our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before you're seated, we recognize that today is also a National Day of Mourning. As this country remembers and celebrates the amazing life of our 39th President of the United States and the 76th Governor of Georgia, James Earl Jimmy Carter. I would ask that we would take a moment of silence to remember this great man and his great legacy. Thank you. Amazing memory be a blessing. Please be seated.
Mr. Mayor.
Pastor Lloyd, thank you so much for coming and being a part. I could say I knew you when I was taller than you. But your work since has been equally impressive, and we are so honored that you had the opportunity to be with us today. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor.
I think I recognize Alderwoman Wilder Bryan.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, I just wanted to just share with you how pleased I am, and I've told him this story before. When I was an officer at the Sheriff Department, I did his 16th birthday at the May Street Y. We love Marvin Lloyd. I'm so glad of your journey and what you've become. You keep pushing. I appreciate you, everything that you do.
Praise
Thank you. Tell your
God.
dad I said howdy.
Praise God. Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and Council, and everyone else. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Mayor.
As we begin our council meeting for today, I would like to make a motion for the adoption of the regular meeting agenda for January 9, 2025.
Second.
we're going to add just an introduction on executive privilege, but with that, properly moved and seconded, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 2 and 3.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the minutes for the work session and city manager's briefing held on December 19th, 2024 at 11 o'clock a.m.
We did not have a work session, so strike that, please.
Yes, sir.
Item
And
number 3.
Item number 3, for the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held on December 19th, 2024 at 2 o'clock p.m.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for the regular meeting held on December the 19th, 2024 at 2 o'clock p.m. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Ladies and gentlemen, I do want to, particularly for you in your personal time and your quiet thoughts, remember the folks in California.
Yes.
Snow and ice is one thing, fire is something totally different.
Yes.
And there are people, regardless of your income level, there are $1 million homes going up. There are people's investments, their entire lives going up in flames. So for those that are dealing with that, and particularly as the winds ebb and flow and move, everyone out there is in danger. And so thank you, Alderwoman Miller Blakely, for reminding me to lift that, and please keep them in your thoughts and prayers.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In accordance with item number 4, particularly, I thank Pastor Lloyd because he lifted up just where I wanted to go. As you all know, the Georgia Municipal Association has a program called Embrace Civility. The city of Savannah was the first city in the state, the first city out of 536 cities to approve the civility resolution when it first came out. Civility is more than just politeness. It is about disagreeing without disrespect, seeking common ground as a starting point for dialogue about differences, listening past one's preconceptions and teaching others to do the same. Civility is the hard work of staying present, even with those with whom we have deep-rooted and fierce disagreement. Why civility matters? Because civil behavior and speech are critically important to a healthy, functional, and respectful society. A 2019 survey revealed that 93% of Americans believe that incivility is a problem, with 68% identifying incivility as a major problem. And 3, cities need a plan to counteract the growing polarization and challenges caused by incivility. So you have received the civility pledge that was sent to us. It has not changed. And so this is approval of a resolution to reaffirm Savannah as a city that practices and promotes civility in our city. And
Mr.
I'll
Mayor.
entertain a motion at this time.
Move to approve.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 5, and I'll come down for these. Well, I didn't announce you yet, but if you're going to come in, well, just go ahead. Come on, come on. We are always excited in Savannah. Particularly, Savannah has a very strong legacy with Martin Luther King and certainly the Martin Luther King holiday. We are known for it. And now, in terms of celebrations, we probably, since Atlanta stopped their parade, I know we have probably the largest in the country now. This is carried out annually by a small band of fierce but mighty warriors that each year take up their time and their effort to be able to put on activities to make sure that individuals, both young and old, remember that the way we are now was not the way we always were. To make sure that at the end of the day, we remember one of the individuals, certainly one who believed in the cause so much that he lost his life for it. Dr. King would have been 93 years old, and he is now gone from earth longer than he was on the earth. And it is important for us to remind men, women, boys, and girls that freedom must be continuously fought for. And the fact that we are sitting where we sit is a testament to the work that he and many others have done around the country. When we recognize Dr. King, we're recognizing many of those whose shoulders we stand on today. So we're very glad to have with us some of our mighty band of willing workers who need more folks to work with them. It is a huge personal effort of time to do this. We're glad to have with us our former First Lady of our city. Matter of fact, the last First Lady of our city. No, we've had other First Ladies. Oh,
Cynthia.
yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, when I get married next year, then you'll be replaced. But Miss Deborah Adams, everyone knows the great Glenda Jones, the Honorable Glenda Jones of the Board of Elections, who we continue to stand with her in the passing of the beloved Alderman Clifton Jones Jr.
Yes.
Everyone knows Judy Jones and the rest of the team, and so y'all come up and.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
It is indeed an honor and a privilege to come and stand before you all. Last year, I think I got in a little bit of trouble because we gave you all burgundy caps. Well, someone told me that they needed a black and gold one.
Thank you. Customer service.
Therefore, I am relinquishing my black and gold cap to him, and I want him to wear it proudly.
Daily.
Your choice. And on behalf of the ML King Observance Association, we want to thank you for allowing us to put on this parade through the city of Savannah. And not just the parade, we have other events that we need you all to support as well. We need your support. We need your sponsorship. We need you on the streets, on boots on the ground with us as we carry out the life and legacy of a great man. He's not coming back to us, but yet and still we can still continue to honor him for his legacy. And let's not forget him as we honor him with the parade, our gospel fest, our luncheon, and other events throughout the year. So as I think someone also came down and said, asked the question while I was sitting there, did we bring you anything? Well, yes, I brought the mayor a cap.
I asked that question.
I don't call names, but yes, we did.
I just saw it. I was trying to.
Ah.
Oh, yeah, you forgot that.
Oh.
So we have a fruit basket to present to City Council, and Mayor Adams. Mayor Johnson has a cake, and it was homemade with love. Thank you. We love you. God bless you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
let's
we
get
do.
cake. I need to introduce.
We get a slice of cake?
That's
No.
not my cake.
It belongs to Sharante and the team.
It's not mine. It's out of
We'll
my
pass it
hands.
along.
I'm gonna get a piece of some of these grapes before you say it's not ours, too.
Make sure you wash them before you eat them. No, I didn't wash them. I just put them in the basket. I would like to introduce Glenda Jones, who is on our committee. She's also the chairperson for our Gospel Fest that will be coming off on February the 16th at Thankful Baptist Church at 4:00 p.m. in the afternoon. Please come out and worship with us. We have Miss Judy Jones, who is our parade chairperson, and boy, have they given her please pray for her. She has worked hard and she's worked diligently to get this parade off and running on the 20th. And we have, there's Elaine Snyder, who is a jack of all trades. She works on almost all kids. She works on the parade committee as well as the Gospel Fest. And we have, I can't call my brother's name. Frederick is a Sigma, who is also my fraternity brother, because I am a Zeta. And he has been helping us with this parade for the last couple of years, and we want to thank them for taking time out of their schedules to come down to City Council as we receive our parade permit to put on this wonderful parade on January the 20th. Thank you. The parade will kick off promptly at 10 o'clock. And please make sure you adhere to the time that you need to report. We have folks coming in there ahead of time, and we can't have that, because then the people who need to be at the front can't get there. So please adhere to your time when you are to report. Thank you. We love you. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we appreciate you. Again, this is not just in January. This is all year long. If someone wants to be a part of the committee, who should they contact?
The office.
Okay.
912-234-5502. And they will put you in. We let you work where you choose to work, because we have so many events and we need someone everywhere.
And so I appreciate that, appreciate your kindness. And as Martin Luther King was a distinguished man of Alpha Phi Alpha,
Yes, true.
it is only appropriate that the colors of black and gold would adorn my head. But on behalf of the city of Savannah, we want to present you your parade permit. We are excited about what this means for us. It's not a day off, it is a day on. And if you're not in the parade, you can watch the parade, but I think it's really good for our community. Everyone gets a chance to come out. It's different than our other parades. This is homegrown. And so we're very excited about looking forward to a week from Monday. Y'all ready?
Ready.
All right, well, thank you so much. Oh, wait, right there. Y'all turn around. There we go. Oh, come on. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Mayor Johnson, I have a question for the committee. Is it too late for people to give their entrance into the parade? Okay. All right. I was just making sure.
That was an emphatic yes. Also, we know that if it's January, ladies and gentlemen, it is also time for traffic jam. And so we're going to ask the members of our Savannah Interagency Diversity Council to come up. We're so excited about this work. This is the 10th year anniversary of the traffic jam observance. And it is a great time. The Savannah Interagency Diversity Council leads our local efforts in human trafficking. These are individuals who continuously work hard again throughout the year to make sure that we are addressing the growing issues of human trafficking in our community and around our region. This is the 10th consecutive year. Last year we had over 400 attendees. We have partnered with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation last year and had a massive operation in Metro Savannah, which resulted in arrest and validates the need for awareness and training in this area. And we are also very proud of our local fraternal and sorority organizations. And pleased to announce that Delta Sigma Theta is, we're pleased to announce that Delta Sigma Theta is our major sponsor this year. The city of Savannah has sponsored in the past, and we expect to do so again this year. So I will read this proclamation, and then we'll have some comments. The City of Savannah proclamation, whereas January is recognized nationally as Human Trafficking Awareness Month, serving as a time to educate the public, strengthen partnerships, and renew our commitment to ending this heinous crime. Whereas the City of Savannah recognizes the importance of empowering citizens with the knowledge to identify signs of human trafficking, and small actions can save lives. And whereas human trafficking victimizes citizens in every community, city, county, and state of the United States of America. And whereas the Savannah Interagency Diversity Council, a local nonprofit that connects people from national, state, and local organizations, established the Savannah Traffic Jam in January 2016 to educate the community to recognize the signs of and join the fight against human trafficking. Whereas the City of Savannah celebrates the 10th anniversary of this honorable initiative and honors the resilience of survivors of human trafficking, and reaffirm our dedication to providing them with resources, support, and a path of healing. Now, therefore, I, Van R. Johnson II, Mayor of the City of Savannah, do hereby proclaim January 2025 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in the City of Savannah, Georgia, and further lift up and I'll pledge our commitment to the Savannah Interagency Diversity Council to make sure we get to the day where there are no human trafficking events in the City of Savannah, and witness whereof I've hereto set my hand and caused the seal of our great city to be affixed on the first day of January 2025. Mr. Bill.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Once again, I want to thank you all for your support that you've given us for the past 9 years. This is our 10th year, and we really have done a great job in moving the conference forward, and we want to continue to do that. But we need your continued support as well. This is our 10th year. We're looking forward to having a great conference, looking forward to having a huge turnout. The theme, a decade of awareness, advocacy, and action. And action meaning we're going to do great things after the conference as well. Got some great things planned. So I want to thank all our members here that came out today, this special occasion. They worked hard since March of last year to get to this point, and I want to thank them as well. Can't do it by myself. So really thank them for their great work. And we invite you all to come out January 24th, 2025, that's Friday, for the law enforcement training. And we're going to have a job fair after the training as well. Savannah State University Student Union, and also on January 25th, General Public Conference, 9 to 2 p.m. And we got some great speakers, as you can see here, all our speakers on here on the board. And during the training, we got a great training conference on Friday as well. So thank you all, and I'm going to turn it over to any other members who wanted to say words.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Agent McLeod, would you come and introduce our members of our SIDC? You know I was going to do it. You know I was going to do it.
I am not an agent, but we are here with, I'm Diane McLeod, for the record, and we are here with many of our members. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Tina Browning. I'm on the board and treasurer of the SIDC. We appreciate all of our partners and all the businesses that help us fight this terrible, terrible crime. Thank you.
Yes. Hi, I'm Lucretia Cole. I'm with Biggsboro Bank, and I'm a member of the board, also as the. Good afternoon. Shalana Daniel from Pula, Georgia, Bread of Life Ministries.
Currently, with Homeland Security.
I am Terry Todd. I'm the board member of
Johnson, and the founder of For the Jewel in You, helping victims of domestic violence, and we also know that it goes right on to human trafficking. Savannah High.
Go Karen.
Hey, I'm Julie Wade. I'm the executive director of Theros Place, a residential facility for survivors of human trafficking, and I've left some information at your table about our organization and things we're doing in January with Traffic Jam, which is a huge resource for our community.
Great job, Julie.
Good afternoon, Takesha Brown, DEI officer of the city of
Yay.
Savannah.
Team Savannah!
Bronx Corner.
So, members of council, we thank you for the proclamation today. We look forward to celebrating, well, not celebrating, but having this 10-year continuance of Traffic Jam that we have traditionally held at Savannah State University.
The Savannah State University.
I didn't go to Savannah State University, but I will say the Savannah State University.
There you go.
Make sure I get it right. But we will have it there, and we're going to celebrate and look at where we have come from 2015 until now. There have been some major changes, improvements in how we view victims, how we prosecute criminals, as well as resources available in the state. When we look at Chatham County, I can't look at the city of Savannah, I have to look at the county as a whole. We know that Chatham County is in the top 10% in the state as it relates to labor trafficking. When we look at our indicators, the state of Georgia has a great resource called our Statistical Analysis Center that tells us all the indicators that suggest that human trafficking may be occurring in our area. So when we look at the indicators, we know that we are in the top 10% for labor trafficking because some of our indicators suggest that when we look at wage and hour violations, child labor violations, fines and penalties that have been imposed upon employers, that those are indicators of labor trafficking. We are also in the top 10% as it relates to sex trafficking. From 2021 to 2024, we have served over 59 victims in this area, the highest being 2023, in which there were 25 reported victims who received services in the Chatham County area. So we know that there is a need. Your investment in us, in the Savannah Interagency Diversity Council, allows us to spread the word. We spread the word by making awareness to the community, to our professionals, and to our co-workers and our neighbors. So spreading the word about human trafficking makes a big difference. Your investment in us makes a difference, and we ask for your continued support. Saturday, the 11th, is National Human Trafficking Awareness Day. It's called Wear Blue Day, and we ask you if on your social media feeds you can publicize that to get the word out so that we all can be aware of what's going on within our communities. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would like to again shine a light on our Team Savannah member, Dr. Brown, who is, wave your hand so everybody can see you, Dr. Brown. They can't see that, Dr. Brown. There we go. Who really keeps us in the loop with everything in reference to the work that you all are doing, and especially in her role as our DEI coordinator and director. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We appreciate you, and again, for us, this is also a great opportunity because law enforcement agencies receive free training. For those of us who have to maintain certified hours, Chief Gunther, we're part, right? We're in? We'll have our officers involved as well, so this is also a service that helps benefit our many law enforcement agencies. The science continues to evolve, and so this is real-time information. But thank you all so much. We look forward to seeing you, and this is going to be not only a great time to be able to remember how far we've come, but also a great time to look forward about how we can help. So thank you all so much. Yes, one picture.
I know she looks so different. All that hair and can't wait.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to make one more announcement. Mayor Johnson is actually an honorary member of the SIDC, so I want to make sure of that. Thank you.
I just don't come to meetings, but I'm in. Well, you need me. I need you. Thank you very much. I want the opportunity again. I said a couple that I want to add an introduction. I'm going to ask someone formerly known as our school board superintendent, Dr. Ann Levette, to come forward. Many of you all know, although she retired, she's not tired. She accepted my invitation to serve on the Housing Authority of Savannah. She currently serves as chair, and many of you are familiar that Earlene Davis, the long-term director of the Housing Authority of Savannah, has retired. And I'm going to ask Dr. Levette to come and introduce to our community our new director.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
A Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you so much for your support and always for your leadership. It is my pleasure today to be here, as the mayor indicated, as the chair of the Board of Commissioners for the Housing Authority of Savannah. And I think when I last saw you, we were celebrating the illustrious career of Mrs. Davis. And we have engaged in, the commission is engaged in a pretty intensive process to find the next person to step into the role of executive director of the Housing Authority of Savannah. She started with us on December 2nd, and joining me today, of course, is our vice chair, Mr. Gresham. I'm here representing not only Mr. Gresham, who's with us, but also Commissioner Days, Commissioner Holland, Commissioner Guzman, and then, of course, our two resident commissioners, Commissioner Bullock and Commissioner Perry. We have been very, very fortunate to select Miss Yvette Hester, who brings to our city 30 years of service, 30 plus years of service in the housing industry. And she comes to us directly from New Orleans. I will say to you that she has served 19 years as the executive director of public housing authorities. She's coming from New Orleans, a sister city, certainly acquainted with much of what we face in our own cities of this size, and then she's also had experience in Alabama. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce her to you today. I know that she will fit in. She's been here since December 2nd. She's been running since she got here, and she's doing pretty well. So, Ms. Hester.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Council. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm honored and privileged to serve this community. I'm very excited about this job. I know that I have big shoes to fill with Earlene Davis, but I have a lot of tissue that I can put in those shoes to make up the difference. Savannah is a beautiful city. I always dreamed about coming here to work. I couldn't wait until Earlene retired. I called her and I said, Earlene, when are you leaving? I heard you've been leaving like for 3 or 4 years. She said, well, this time it's for real. And so when the opportunity presented itself, I jumped at it because this is a city that I adore. I want to tell you that I have been in this business for 35 years. I know I don't look it.
No, you don't.
But I bring to this city passion for serving, passion for bringing dignity to housing. If the people that know me in this industry know that I'm a no-nonsense manager, and I believe that people should live in good housing just like every one of us expects.
Thank you.
And so I don't want to take any shortcuts, and it's not going to be easy. But I will need your support of not just the council and the mayor, but a lot of the citizens in this audience today. And so I will be focusing on, number one, preservation of affordable housing. We need this resource for the future. right?
Right.
It is a crisis right now. Rents are high as a you-know-what, the devil. And we need to make sure that we preserve affordable housing. Number two, expansion of affordable housing. We need to seek opportunities that will allow us to grow these programs because whether we like it or not, we are becoming a community of the haves and the have-nots.
Right.
And number three, to provide services to our residents so that they can be economically, financially, and just independent, and so that they can prepare the next generation for a better life. And so that's my focus. I've been here 30 days. It feels like 6 years. And I have been hitting the ground running, and I hope to meet individually with all of the council members and many other community leaders. So I thank you so much for trusting me to do this big job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I will tell you that when Ms. Hester's name was floated, I had Mayor Cantrell of New Orleans is a very good personal friend, and I had to ask her, and the word she says, she is fantastic. And if you know anything about Mayor Cantrell, she don't play the radio.
No, not at all.
I know.
She said something else too, but I won't say that. But we're very excited to have her. As you know, housing is a strategic priority for us, and the Housing Authority of Savannah is a strategic partner for us. And so it was important for us not to miss a beat. And I'm very, very confident that we have a strategic leader that will help us to help complement our efforts. So we're so, so glad that you're here. Alderwoman Wilder Bryan.
I wanted to welcome Ms. Hester, congratulate her, and let her know, welcome to Savannah, but especially to the 3rd District, because that's where your office is. Yeah, yeah. And we miss Earlene, but I believe she's left it in capable hands, and you do. Get that tissue ready. If you ain't ready, we're going to let you know. We appreciate you already. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mayor Johnson, Ms. Hester, just welcome aboard. Want to wish you a happy and healthy who dat, where yat, and welcome you to our City of Savannah gumbo competition that we have with our city manager, Jay Melder, as well. So we're looking forward to getting to know you better. And congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Alderwoman Shabazz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, Mrs. Hester, to our city and to this wonderful work. I do believe that it is people who are called to do this type of work that you are doing, because it is a work where it is not those who are who's already in need, but those who are the needy. And we are just so thankful that you were chosen to come and to oversee the housing portion for our community with affordable housing, which is, we all know this whole story of the shortages and everything that's going on, not just in our city, but all over the country. So we're so glad that you're here, and we look forward to the awesome work that you're about to do.
Yes, sir. Also, welcome to Savannah, and I look forward to doing a walkthrough with you. I'm glad that you're a boots on the ground person. I look forward to walking through the different areas where we have our challenges. But I think if we work together along with the city, we can address a lot of those issues. But I look forward to working with you, even though you're not in the 2nd District. You're just 40 feet away, so you can walk across the street.
Don't we fight over? We're gonna have to fight over you because we fight.
All right, we're not fighting today, so kumbaya, civility today, right? Thank you so much. Welcome, glad to have you. Thank you, Chairman, our Chairwoman Levette, Vice Chairman Gresham for the work that you all do in our Housing Authority. Thank you so much. Thank you. Another brief introduction I want to do. Chief Gunther, would you come up, please? This week, or is it this month, is Police Appreciation Month? Day? It was day? It's today?
It's today.
Okay. I didn't remember whether it was the day of the month, but I just wanted to take an opportunity, particularly for those, we often give police officers a lot of help. But until you're willing to put on a uniform and run toward trouble when people are running away from it, you understand that these are men and women. These are our citizens. These are mothers, fathers, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, their children, and they're individuals coming to do a job. And at the end of the day, they just want to be able to go home. And so although we oftentimes spend a lot of effort highlighting those that don't do the right thing, there are so many others that every day do the right thing. So, Chief, I just want to take a moment of personal privilege to thank you, Chief Gavin, Chief Adams, and the greatest police department in the world, the Savannah Police Department, and all the officers for what you all do day in and day out to keep us safe, and how you leverage personnel and technology in great ways. Ladies and gentlemen, just for your records, although all crime is unacceptable, our violent crime is down 22%. Our total crime is down. I don't want to get into all the numbers. And our homicides are down. Our clearance rate is 80%, which is better than the federal average. 106%. 100%, thank you, 106%. And the fact of the matter is, they make it happen. So thank you so much, Chief, and we appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On behalf of the Savannah Police Department, all of the staff, we greatly appreciate the recognition and acknowledgement of the hard work that they do day in and day out. I would say police officers, at least for the Savannah Police Department, we love what we do every single day. You have to love it if you wear this badge. To go out and serve our community, and it's such a great community to serve, which makes it easy. The fact is, some days are difficult to be a police officer. Some days it gets a little hard, but we push through, and on days like this where the community comes together to show their appreciation for what we do, what they do, means a lot to us. So thank you very much, and we appreciate it, and we will continue to serve hard. Thank you.
Mr. Manager, you want to?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Chiefs. Yeah, I'll just add on how grateful we are for the Savannah Police Department and all of our law enforcement agencies and professionals who work in Chatham County and the region. Alderman, for your service as well, and for many members of council who are post-certified and continue the law enforcement work. Mr. Mayor, we often talk about, the shield on their chest and the patch on their shoulder represents this city in a profound way, in ways that this tie and a lapel pin never will. And it's our law enforcement officers and our fine men and women at the Savannah Police Department who are engaging our citizens in maybe some of their worst moments. But also more and more in some of their best and happiest moments as members of the community and as true public servants. And I want to thank Chief Gunther. I want to thank Assistant Chief Gavin and Adams and the entire team at SPD for really making not only law enforcement and our safety number one, but also that their public service in making our community a better place and a happier place, and that an interaction with a police officer isn't the worst part of your day, but can actually be a really bright spot. And that's something that we really cherish that you guys do every day. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. I will lift up to include Savannah Fire, the true test of a public servant. I remember when the Geechee River flooded, and we were in Bradley Point, and we had police and firefighters, and we were going back and forth to rescue people from the back where we were separated by water. We had to go back and get police officers to bring them out so that they could go to work. So here they are, their homes are in danger of being flooded.
They're leaving.
But yet they still had to come out so that they could go to work. And we had no problems from any of those, both police and fire, that had to serve. They just understood very clearly what they had to do. So that is why we make no excuse about paying them and paying them well.
That's right.
And I thank you, council, for not flinching about that.
That's right.
We will have the best paid public service professionals in this region.
Yes, sir.
Because they
Yes,
deserve
sir.
it. So thank you all very much. Thank you. That being said, to that end, we have a new Directors Academy and our third City Managers Emerging Leaders Academy that we are so excited about. Great public servants create great public service. And so, Mr. Manager, if you would.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to have Dr. Blaylock join me here. So, of course, everybody knows Dr. B. And Dr. B directs our organizational development. And two of our most important programs are the City Managers Emerging Leaders Academy, and we're celebrating the graduation of our third cohort. And we started a Directors Academy for those folks who have are moved up to assistant director or director or chief positions in our organization and are learning how to do business here in the city of Savannah and understanding our standard of excellence. So we just want to congratulate these folks. They have finished the academy. And something that we talk about a lot at Team Savannah and really in our Emerging Leaders Academy too is they didn't come to the academy because they wanted to learn how to be a leader. They came to the academy because they already exercise leadership. And leadership happens everywhere in our organization, and everybody has the opportunity to exercise leadership. And that's what we need in an organization that is trying to do big things in our community and move things forward. And these are the folks who are doing it. It's a competitive process. You apply, you have to have referrals. It's tough going. There's a capstone project that every one of these graduates had to complete and present in front of the executive team. And for the ideas that really rise to the top, you know that we sign those into policies, and sometimes they make it into your desk, into ordinances as well. And they've really done an amazing job, not only innovating, but finding really great ways to save taxpayer dollars and do more with less all the time. So we want to give them a big round of applause and congratulate them by name. So if you would, our graduates for Cohort 3 of the City Managers Emerging Leader Program, Huida Blake from Development Services. Rachel Buck, Special Events, Film and Tourism. Chandler Crawford, ITS. Ivan Davilar, Housing Services. Isaac Felton, Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement. Rita Frazier, Water Reclamation. April Furman, Recorder's Court. Reggie Gadsden, Code Compliance. Gabrielle Hawk, Savannah Fire Department. Janae Hunter, SPD. Seth Jackson, Urban Forestry. Jerry Jacobs, Real Estate Services. LaQuinton Cates, Human Services. I'll have to say it every time. LaQuinton, reigning Employee of the Year. Monique Knight Wilson, Savannah Police Department. Megan Lee King, Special Events, Film and Tourism. Steve McClendon, Human Services. Jessica McGee, Savannah Police Department. Lynn Newman, Code Compliance. Dr. Ortiz, Human Resources. Lauren Palmerston, Parking Services. Janita Patrick Gibson, Savannah Civic Center. Vincent Pellegrini Jr., Savannah Police Department. Stephen Prater, Revenue and Utilities. Dana Purvis, Savannah Police Department. Lisa Savage, Savannah Police Department. John C. Strunk, Office of Management and Budget. Dallas Smith, Community Housing Services. Margaret Scribbling Page, Recorder's Court. Stephanie Takanaka, Water Resources. Stacey Truesdell, Human Services. and Ryan Unkert, Savannah Fire Department. Congratulations, our graduates. Go forth and lead.
And Jay Melder.
Before we announce our Directors Academy graduates, Dr. B.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, City Manager, for your support of this program. Public speaking is the #1 fear of adults, and everyone in each of these programs did that, and many of them overcame fears. But we had the opportunity for the emerging leaders to recognize their favorite speaker from all the speakers. We had people come from Georgia Municipal, City Managers, very, very hotly contested. And so I'm going to ask them if they will, on the count of 3, identify who the recipient is of that award. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you. We have an award for you. We get an award?
Yes, we have an award. Very
All right.
Congratulations, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure.
And now to congratulate our graduates for our Directors Academy. This is our inaugural class, and so as you know, we continue to really define what it means to be a Team Savannah member. Our leadership and the heads of our departments and those folks who are directing traffic every day in the organization. It's really important that we have a shared understanding of our goals and a shared understanding of our standard of excellence as public servants, and that's what this Directors Academy really strives to do. So let us congratulate these graduates who have recently been promoted or hired into these leadership roles or have served in an interim. Ricky Allison, Go Tigers, Recreation and Leisure.
All right.
Brian Bozart, Park and Tree. Robert Boyce, Utility Services. They're a little bit more subdued than the emerging leaders. This is Brent Boyd, Park and Tree. Kelvin Bryant, SPD. Contalita Coleman, the City Manager's Office.
Yes, yes, yes.
Luke Gardner, Housing. Water and Sewer Conveyance and Distribution. Tara Hicks, Housing. Tamika Hutchinson, Civic Center. Robert Sidey Johnson, SPD. Judy Jones, Revenue. Jason Mall, Park and Tree. Doug Patton, Capital Projects Management. Jennifer Roach, Development Services. And Irvin Williams, Fleet Services. So congratulations to our Leaders Academy graduates. This is all about serving hard and doing your work. And Mayor and Council, I know we took a lot of time in your council meeting, but it means so much for us to be able to recognize and acknowledge the hard work of Team Savannah and all of their great accomplishments. Let's go out and keep serving hard. Thanks, Steve.
Mr. Manager, thank you so much for your recognizing that our success is tied to our succession and being able to help build leaders. We appreciate you in all of that, and we appreciate all of these individuals who are rushing out now to get back to work. So that's a great thing. Okay. A couple of quick things. First thing is we do have, if you notice, Bates Lovett has changed a little bit. We have an understudy today. Jen Herman is our Deputy City Attorney, and she is sitting in for Bates Lovett today. Y'all give her a round of applause. It's all right. And Mark Massey, our clerk, is out of town on city business, and his understudy today is Gwendolyn Jones. And we hope that you all don't mind the fact that we took a moment. It's a poor frog that doesn't praise their own pond. Yes. So we're going to love on us a little bit today. So, all right, let's do this. Let's move to alcohol license hearings. And we have 3 on items number 8 through 10. Thank you. Approval of a Class C liquor, beer, and wine by the drink alcohol license with Sunday sales to James Simillo for Veratina, a restaurant located at 606 Abercorn Street in District 2. Item 9 is approval of a Class C liquor, beer, and wine by the drink alcohol license Robert Grant for Savannah Culinary Institute at 7 West Bay Street. And item number 10, approval of a Class G beer and wine complimentary service alcohol license of Melissa Monge for C Love, a retail store located at 310 West Broughton Street. Unless there are any pullouts, we will proceed with the hearings. Okay, this is a public hearing for these 3 items. If anyone has anything against any of these items, speak now or forever hold thy peace. Going once. Going twice.
Mr. Mayor?
3 times, yes, sir.
I ask that we close the hearing.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Going to item number 5, sorry, item number 8. Alderman Leggett.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I ask that we approve the Class C liquor, beer, wine by the drink alcohol license with Sunday sale to James, I don't want to mess his name up.
Simonillo. Simonillo, I believe.
For Veratina, for Veratina.
Second. Been probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 9, Alderman Leggett.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I ask that we pass the Class C liquor, beer, wine by the drink alcohol license for Robert Grant for Savannah Culinary Institute.
Second.
Been probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 10, trifecta, Alderman Leggett.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I ask that we accept the Class G beer, wine complimentary service alcohol license for Sea Love in Automatic District 2.
Second.
Been probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all very much. Go forth. Be great. We can go ahead and do, we have a couple of second readings, don't require any hearings, just votes. We can go ahead and do the zoning hearings, if that's all right. All right. Item number 11 is zoning hearing petition of Jason Chambliss and Ryan Thompson on behalf of Mohsen Yarahagi for 76 Highlands Boulevard, LLC, and 1950 Benton Boulevard, LLC, for a future land use map amendment for 226.1 acres in 1950 Benton Boulevard and 76 Highlands Boulevard in Automatic District 1. This is a companion item to item number 14, but then item number 12 is also, so we can take item 11 and 12 together.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, and then we could deal with items number 14 and 15 on the other side.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. Edward Morrow, Director of Development Services at the MPC. As always, it's a pleasure to see you all today. So I will speak to you first about 2 companion petitions at 1950 Benton Boulevard and 76 Highlands. The first one is required to enable the second one. And the first is a future land use map amendment. And that's going to change the flume from suburban commercial and residential general to planned development. And the one reason that this is significant is because this would align these particular parcels with regard to the flume to kind of the development schema that we adopted with NUZO. So this PUD was originally adopted in 1998. And so it is quite an old development. It has undergone several changes. And so as of 2019, our schema has been a little bit different. And so we're going to bring it into the future. You see that we are just north of the airport here. We've got 2 fairly large tracts. I'll identify the Georgia Tech campus as kind of a point if you're familiar with that. And so you can see the future land use map shows that yellow, which is residential general, and the red, which is general commercial, I believe. I'm sorry, commercial suburban. And to the right, you can see that there are actually 3 separate jurisdictions that are involved here. At the top, there's Port Whitworth, which is in the orange, City of Savannah, which is yellow, and Pooler, which is blue. And so this was a PUD that encompassed about 5,800 acres, just to give you an idea of its scale. And the original master plan was adopted circa 1998. And so with the subsequent adoption of NUZO, this is where we saw the change in sort of the approach to how we did the future land use map come into play. Originally, we would put the intended use for these parcels directly on them. And so now these are generally assigned plan development to reflect the fact that we're going to refer to a master plan of some sort. You can see here, looking at the Godley Station master plan, this was originally that orange color, which was commercial retail. This was a single-use commercial designation in which there were kind of a limited number of things that could occur within these areas. Again, all of them commercial. There was no mixed use permitted. And so the significant thing today is that you will kind of employ one of these strategies that we heard about in Plan 2040, which is suburban retrofit. And this is rezoning single-use commercial to mixed use. So again, while the petitioner would be allowed to do the same commercial use as they have now, they would ideally have the opportunity to establish some residences in this area, which would give a little bit of traffic relief, create a town center style development, which would be ideal under these circumstances. And so with that, MPC does recommend approval of this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, so do you want to carry the second one? 'Cause I guess you have to do this one before you could do the next one.
This one does require approval in order to.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is a public hearing. I see we had one, Mr. Emmer. Okay, you want to come up and? Well, I guess, okay, so you were reserved to item 12? Okay, fine. All right, so this is regarding item number 11. I do know, for me, I'm obviously very familiar with this area. This is the Alpha track or the C?
17.
Both.
Alpha track.
Yep.
And so the Godley station, the Godley track was called initially for years SAT, and then as time changed, turned into residential that was subdivided, and grew exponentially. And the reality is that you have now more people than we have infrastructure to be able to address the needs of the people that are there. On the other end of it, you have two large tracts of land at the front of these areas, and we have tried very hard for years to stop truck traffic. As a matter of fact, literally placing the city of Savannah, placing a truck ban there because we just felt that it was too intrusive of the residents that were there. The goal here was that roads are overcrowded and infrastructure is strained. And the question ultimately becomes, how do you find something that is able to address the needs of a strained and overgrowing community, at the same time allowing for the development in the land in a way that makes sense. Obviously there is a right for the business interests there for those tracks, but there's a right to livability and people not waiting 30 minutes, 40 minutes to be able to get in and out of their neighborhood. And if you've ever done that, you know it can be a bear sometimes. And so I don't know if there's any questions, anybody from here. I think I only had one, and we can close the hearing, proceed on this.
Mr. Mayor.
You want?
Mayor, I was going to address all four related petitions at one time. I'm happy to do it any time.
How do you wish to proceed? You want to do it now and just do all of them?
If you don't mind, I think that makes
you want to split it up on fours? I mean, it just depends.
They're all related to one another.
Let's then go ahead and just kind of
let's just
do it as a. And I'll give you additional time since, but Counselor.
I heard the additional time part, but you're going to
Well,
say
additional
something else.
time, but I was saying, we want to go home while it's light outside, though.
Since I'm parked about 3 blocks away, I'll do my best. Thank you, Mayor Harold Yellen, on behalf of the petitioner, Darius Uragi. With me today is Jason Shamlis, seated on the front row, who's the project engineer, who can answer any questions you may have. The petitioner is the owner of 2 different parcels, what we call the Alpha Tract and the C17 Tract. To save time, I will address 4 petitions at once. They are on your agenda, 11, 12, 14, and 15. The part that we're calling the Alpha Tract is the one that's rectangular and it's got about 120 acres of land bordered by Jimmy DeLoach, Benton Boulevard, and Highlands. There we go. And the other parcel to the right is the C-17 tract. It's approximately 108 acres, bounded by Highlands, Jimmy DeLoach, and the off-ramp of I-95. As I know the mayor knows, this is the third time I've appeared before City Council for the same property. The first two times were for a different property owner. 10 years ago, that property owner stood before this council, and I stood representing that property owner, asking that all 220 acres be rezoned for light industrial for warehousing. City Council did not approve that petition, which is a nice way of saying you denied it. A few years later, the same property owner asked me to come back before you with the exact same petition, asking that all 220 acres be rezoned light industrial. Once again, you did not approve it. I represent a new owner. It's with great pleasure that I represent a new owner who has a very different vision for this property. As was noted by MPC staff, both properties are currently zoned commercial, so there are 220 acres right now that can put in commercial uses as a matter of right. To give you some idea of the impracticality of keeping over 200 acres as commercial, I asked our project engineer to show you what this would look like if we took two very common buildings that you're familiar with, the Oglethorpe Mall and the Savannah Mall. How would they fit on these tracks? And prior to the meeting, I put 3 pages in front of you, 11 by 17, so that you could get a better idea. You can see that on the Alpha track, the rectangular track, the Savannah Mall would fit inside that piece of property, easily within that property, and still have room for additional outparcels on Benton Boulevard and Highlands. Likewise, on C-17, that tract is so large that you could fit the Oglethorpe Mall with room for outparcels along Highlands. So we crafted this exhibit to give you some idea of how large these tracts are, showing two familiar malls. And if you've been to a mall lately, you know that these two parcels cannot be filled with large-scale development. They just can't. So our petition today is very different than anything City Council has ever seen before. The Alpha tract, and if you're looking at page 2 of the 3 pages I gave you, the Alpha tract will have a commercial and it will have a light industrial component. The commercial piece will be along Benton Boulevard and it will be along Highlands Boulevard. Along Benton will be 24 acres. Along Highlands will be 8.8 acres. To once again give you some context, you might say, well, oh, that's only 32 acres of commercial. To give you a context, 12 Oaks Shopping Center on Abercorn, just south of Durin, is 10 acres in size with 100,000 square feet of retail space, including a 48,000 square foot Publix. So the area that we're still committed to commercial, to serve as our buffers on both Benton and Highland, will be 32 acres in size. The industrial component of the site is simply going to be in the middle of the tract, really for 2 reasons. The middle of this property is going to be the back door of the 2 commercials. The 2 commercials will be very large scale, and so we don't know what kind of screening there will be, but we didn't think it was appropriate to have any other form of use behind a commercial development. So we've purposely put the industrial at the back door of what are the wings, the commercial wings of this property. And also this property, if you can see from, I think it's still up on the aerial, is directly across the street from 2 very large warehouse buildings. So with respect to Alpha, the plan is keep commercial on the wings, only to put industrial in the middle of the property. Now, we were originally coming before you today only with Alpha. MPC staff, and I will agree with this position, MPC staff insisted that we bring C-17 along for the ride because we want everyone to know that C-17 will never be used for industrial development. We are literally withdrawing it from any consideration ever as industrial, which is something I haven't told you the last 2 times I was here on this property. We wanted the whole thing. Now we're only going with a portion of Alpha. So if you look at the C-17 tract, and primarily it's page 2 and page 3 are the pages which I think best illustrate what we're trying to do. We will retain our existing commercial designation along Jimmy DeLoach, along Highlands, and that off-ramp for I-95, but the balance is being pulled out. It's being pulled out, and I do want to make one thing very clear. The concept plan that you're seeing now is not before you as a vote. The concept plan is what we hope to do after you approve our petition today. We want to put this property out on the market for residential development. And there's some fine print, and if you look at the development standards, you'll see our master plan and our development standards were drafted to ensure the City Council that the property will be developed in a way that looks consistent with our concept plan, but most importantly, it will not and never will be developed as an industrial site. We're very proud of this. This took a long time. What you're seeing is the result of countless meetings. I cannot even begin to tell you how many meetings we've had with MPC staff who have guided us to get to this place where we are today. I can't even begin to tell you how many meetings we've had with our neighborhood. I am proud that we're here today with a recommendation for approval from MPC staff. I'm extremely proud that we come to you with the unanimous recommendation for approval from the Planning Commission. But perhaps most importantly, we have the support of the Highlands Neighborhood Association. Special thank you to Jasmine Polly, who is the president of that association. She was constantly asking questions, making suggestions, picking at our plan. Ultimately, we did receive, and it should be a part of your package, a recommendation or a letter of support from the Highlands Neighborhood Association. With that, I'll close. Please know that the comments do apply to 4 very different petitions. It's the master plan for both C-17 and Alpha, and the future land use map for both properties as well. We would be happy to answer any questions that y'all have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion to close the hearing?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we close the hearing.
Second. Probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderwoman Lanier, I yield to you since it's your district.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to say that before I got elected to serve the 1st District, I attended a meeting out at West Chatham Middle School when Eddie DeLoach was the mayor and Mayor Johnson at the time was the alderman of the district. And the room was filled on that evening, and those folks were really, really upset, and this was the issue on the table. Those folks were looking to tear another hole somewhere. Mayor Johnson had to take that, but he had been working with the residents on behalf of these tracts of land. Now, in looking at what they were up against, I was concerned about it and after becoming elected because the proposal that was on the table was very intrusive and it was not resident friendly. So when it came before council, I did not support what was being presented at the time. And I had met with the developers and with the residents. One problem was the residents were not organized. I would get calls from maybe 40 different people, and that's difficult. So what I asked them to do, like the other parts of the 1st District in the city of Savannah, to go back and organize so they could speak in a collective voice so I would be able to carry their message before council as to what their desire was. And thanks to Jasmine Polly and her team, they did organize in 2024 into the Highlands Neighborhood Association. There have been various meetings. The issue came back up again under new ownership, and it was also intrusive because I agree with those residents that they did not want that industrial area and all of those warehouses right there in the front of their community on top of the traffic problems that they were dealing with. The residents wanted, like other areas, more commercial amenities, more recreational amenities, and some traffic calming. So this is what the residents have been working on. So they have come together with the new owners on several occasions. There have been a lot of compromise. The residents have had an opportunity to negotiate, and they requested the commercial. The question I had with this new plan was about the sight line, the environmental piece, was that going to be intrusive? And I was assured that they had taken that into consideration, the developers did. And so what you would be seeing are the residents and not necessarily the warehouses or the industrial piece. And the residents were satisfied with this. There isn't 100% satisfaction, in which I doubt if you'll ever get that in the situation. So there are some people who are not necessarily happy with every part of this plan, but for the most part, the residents are on board with what is being presented at the time. And I'm glad to say that the asset-based approach that they took has worked out. And at this time, on the third try, with the developer coming to the table, I do believe I can say that we have a plan that the residents are supporting, and it's a win-win, and they could live with this. What's being presented that will bring some commercial amenities to the area. So Mayor Johnson and Council, is that number 14?
Yes, number 14.
Yeah. At this time, I would like to move for the approval of the petition of Jason Chambliss and Ryan Thompson on behalf of Motion Yaragati for 76 Highland Boulevard LLC and 1950 Benton Boulevard LLC for a future land use map amendment.
Second.
Probably moved to the second, but I have a question, Mr. Yellen, and I believe that Alderwoman Lanier will be for first and second they're requesting, unless anyone has problems. And depending on how he answers this question determines whether I support a first and a second. My question is about, ultimately, and although they're tied together, is about buffering. There are residential areas that will be affected. And my concern is about the buffering as it relates to the industrial side of it. I think that although one part of it is a better use, my concern is for the residents. No one should be negatively impacted by that.
That's the common theme in the discussion we have with neighbors. Keep in mind that the last two times we were here, it was under the old ordinance.
Right.
Now we're under new zone, which has very specific buffers between industrial and residential. There's also, and you can't see it on this property, but the city of Savannah actually owns 10 acres
Correct.
on the other side.
Right.
So a lot of the buffer is already there. We are mindful that no matter what happens here, we have to go back to the Planning Commission for site plan approval, at which time, actually, neighbors get a second bite of the apple and we can talk buffers throughout this whole thing. We think on 120 acres, there's ample land. This is not a 2-acre site. Seeing property this large in this area is incredibly unusual, that they're still remaining out there. So we are very confident that we have ample opportunity to provide buffers. We do go back to the MPC for site plan review, where they will insist on some form of buffer. We're also, and I don't want to throw a curve here, but we're also in discussion with the city of Savannah, because there's actually a road back there owned by the city of Savannah. So there, and Jason, is it 40 feet or 60 feet? There's a 60-foot right-of-way already that separates us from neighbors to the north, and so we're hopeful that if this is approved today, we'll be in discussion with the city of Savannah about maybe an opportunity to build a road in this neighborhood where none exists, where we can move traffic off of Highland and off of Benton and put it on this road. I don't want to pitch it now because I'm going to pitch it later, but there's an opportunity here, I think, the likes of which this area has never seen before. There's a real opportunity here.
Mr. Yellen, I just want, obviously, you've been here for all 3 bites of this apple, and certainly appreciate Alderwoman Lanier. This has been a constant issue out there, and no real solution to it except probably where we are now. But understand what we're saying about not being negatively impacted. And I think although the new owner may not recognize that, you certainly understand.
It's been communicated to the new owner time and time again. The very concern you've raised has been a topic of discussion countless times. We are incredibly comfortable that we can do this. And I just want to repeat one thing I said earlier. The industrial that we're talking about is directly across the street from two very large warehouses, both of which are bigger than the ones we're talking about. Right. To each side of us is going to be the back of operations of a shopping center and the back of operations of another shopping center. So what we're trying to put in the middle of something that's bordered by industrial, back of commercial, is smaller industrial. The piece that perhaps you're worried about is on the other side,
right,
where there will be some portion of the, very small portion of the property that will require a significant buffer, and we are absolutely prepared to handle that at site plan.
Okay.
And I know that
You're going to come back here, Mr. Yellen, and I'm going to remember.
Staff is listening right now. When we come back for
Morrow,
site plan,
you heard him, right?
Mr.
Significant.
Morrow heard it. I heard it.
Define significant for me.
We have to, I don't know, what does NUSA require? 40. NUSA requires 40 feet, and then there's another 60-foot right-of-way owned by the city of Savannah. And we'd like to be talking to the city about some improvements to that road, which might include anything from a pedestrian walkway to a bicycle path. We've already had preliminary discussions with the city. So we hope to continue this trend and come back with something. We think this is amazing, but what we're going to come back with is even more amazing.
Okay, Alderwoman Lanier, if you, I don't know if you were intentional in asking for approval, if you are amenable to first and second reading on this. You made a motion, so I didn't know.
For the approval.
Yeah, but do you, they're asking for first and second.
Yes, we are.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so on back to number 14, I withdraw that.
No, so I'm just saying, so if you're amenable to
the first
making a
and-
first and
yes,
second reading.
first and
Okay.
second, absolutely.
Is there second?
Second.
All right, so
Second.
it's been moved and seconded to the first reading because the second is on its place upon its passage and pass for a petition of Jason Chambliss and Ryan Thompson on behalf of Boshin Yaragi for 76 Highlands Boulevard LLC and 1950 Boulevard LLC for future land use map amendment. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 12. So this required this, I believe, Mr. Emmer, did you still want to comment on this? Come on. And you heard what he said, right? And Mr. Emmer, I want you to help me hold Mr. Yellen.
Speak to the fire.
Yes.
If I could, I'm sorry, there's some details in here that probably need to be in the record for the second portion.
Please do.
That's my mistake.
Go ahead.
Okay, awesome. So this is that part of the commercial where they say T's and C's apply. So this is the current master plan, and the commercial uses that we're referring to that are allowed here are basically those that you see here. This is under the previous zoning ordinance. And so you can see all of these things are commercial. There's nothing residential here, right? And what we're going to do today is incorporate NUZO standards. This takes us back to the old zoning ordinance and the adoption from 1998. This is the plan that I was met with when we started this, I want to say back in May of 2024, okay? So this is the full industrial workup. After many, many conversations, this is the plan that went to the DRI, the Development of Regional Impact. And so this was the product of those many negotiations that we talked about where, in essence, we wanted to ensure that there was going to be some sort of neo-traditional town center style, commercial and residential. And I'll even throw in there, as was echoed by Travis Coles of the Planning Commission, I would love to see a pedestrian bridge here. What you can see kind of in front of the warehouses there is that path. And so something to connect that path where you see the blue line and get it over to the other side, right? So the idea is that we don't want the segregated uses that we used to see in the past, which is what you would get under the current allowances.
Mr. R, go back. Now go forward. Do it again. Go forward. I think it's important to be able to see it in its context. You can continue.
Absolutely. So you can see a variety of dwelling unit types that would be over there to the right. Also, we had discussed a couple of different types of configurations from neo-traditional or kind of a suburban style configuration for commercial uses, potentially along Highlands. And then obviously on Benton, there's interest in a large format grocer or food-oriented retail establishment of some sort. So again, the product of many conversations. So it was interesting that, this is actually just showing the DRI. So if anyone is interested, we did go through the DRI process. So this was the product that we ultimately got, which is interesting because you can see what we're doing is basically just assigning generic use standards, potential use standards to pods on the ground. I'll call them pods within these two tracks. And this is where those details become very significant, right? So as Mr. Yellen stated, this is something that would need to come back to the Planning Commission because there really are not tons of specifics here. And what we would like to do, we worked with the applicant to align each of these different colors and the annotations for the different use groups that you see there with new zoning classifications. Specifically, those are light industrial, limited business, neighborhood business, and community business. This is important because here embedded in this table were some notes that would kind of blend some of our standards, and I just wanted to point out, because we're still at such a conceptual phase here, we really don't know exactly what's going to go on the ground, and we're going to deal with each one of these site plans as they come in. It's probably advisable that we not mix standards and say, as items come in to be considered, let's apply the standards as they are. If variances are needed, that can be dealt with at the MPC without having to send this back to this body for consideration or further alteration of the PUD. And we can talk about density caps and things of that nature. So these are the standards that we're referring to that I think are most significant other than IL. The limited business, as you can see, would still permit the full variety of residential uses. Down at the very bottom, upper story residential, right? That's significant because in the neighborhood business and community business, that means I'm going to throw out Tanger as an example. Imagine apartments on top of Tanger outlets. That's what we're talking about. So this would give you that mixed use feeling where you could come down from your apartment, walk down to the shops and the restaurants and things of that nature in more of a neo-traditional configuration. So a couple of things with regard to compatibility that I think were important to throw out. There are still determinations with regard to adequacy of water, stormwater, sewer, the impacted roads that have to be assessed. This does not in any way represent conveyance of conveyance of any permission to develop these sites. These are all things that at the site plan level, they would be assessed. And if all of your reviewing departments are not satisfied that their requirements have been met, development permits would not be issued. Other than that, also, I think this is really significant in that it would allow this realignment of Godly being a very old PUD to current standards that allows this mixing of uses so that we're not getting the same continued segregated pattern of land use. In looking at the evaluation criteria, you can see there are a number of things that we're missing, but again, these are things that we would assess as individual site plans come in. We do believe that we have enough detail in order to allow this to move forward, of course, with your approval. And so here is the list of conditions. Again, I'll just reiterate that this is only related to zoning and the zoning-related development standards. Any variances to these standards would require the approval of the MPC following approval by this body. And so with that, MPC did recommend approval with 5 staff recommended conditions. The first being that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers jurisdictional determination will be reviewed when required as it applies to all subsequent general and specific development plan submittals. The City of Savannah zoning ordinance shall apply as determined by Chapter 3, Article 10, Natural Resource Standards. There are some wetlands on these tracks. That's why that's there. Number 2, the applicable development standards for any identified use shall apply without modification. Variances to established standards of any zoning district shall be considered in association with the submission and review of site-specific development plans, unless a more specific general master plan is provided. The third one, parcel A shall require MPC approval of a general development plan prior to issuance of a site development permit. This is the parcel where the neighborhood has requested specifically a large format grocer or food-oriented retail establishment. Number 4, the anticipated residential yields indicated in the October 24th DRI concept plan for now assigned parcels G, H, and I shall be regarded as minimum residential density for each parcel. There was a significant difference between the final submission and the DRI submission. And so what staff thinks would be prudent in this case is to set a floor for residential density on those parcels, again, so that we don't just get Walmart or another Savannah Mall site. We want to make sure there's a minimum number of residences that are there. And so the residential density for parcel G shall not be less than 5 dwelling units per acre. Parcel H shall not contain fewer than 8.3 dwelling units per acre, and parcel I shall not contain fewer than 14 dwelling units per acre. Again, these are the density targets that were identified as this went through the development of regional impact assessment. Finally, per condition of case 24-005036-CA, additional Godley Station master plan updates shall be submitted prior to the approval of any future site plans within the PD. This is here because, again, this PUD was established in 1998. It has not in any comprehensive way been reconciled. And so it is difficult at this point for staff to kind of go through and ensure that as we're approving site plans, we understand fully where the original approvals were and where various developers, as they acquire these sites, are attempting to take this. And so in essence, we're just asking principally, I'll say Thomas and Hutton, but ultimately the declarant and any others who are taking responsibility for this to participate in a reconciliation of all the changes that have occurred so that we can make sure that our record keeping is straight. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Emma. And once you state your name, you have 2 minutes.
Sure.
All right.
My name is Matthew Emmer. I'm about a 15-year resident of the Highlands, and I will also say I have also been here for every bite of the apple. So yes, this is not a new issue, but I think what's being missed here in that they described a lot of things, but they didn't describe how they will put trucks onto Highlands Boulevard, and that is a huge issue for us. And it's really tough because this is they came at us with a mixed use. It is much better than what it was in 2017. And I wouldn't have a problem if everything else was there, but it's just this warehouse that's being snuck in with this really awesome plan. And I will say that this plan is just a promise. There's no indication that apartments will go up or anything else. The only guarantee off of this approval plan would be warehouses. And we'd be left with the same issues that we have today, just with warehouses and trucks onto Highlands Boulevard. So that's the issue that I really have a problem with because it's not a isolated thing. If we have any hope of upholding a truck ban on Benton and Highlands, we cannot allow trucks to be on the last 500 feet of Highlands. That our fate will be sealed in that issue. So I think probably even to Mr. Yellen's shock, I would be more amenable if, even with a warehouse, if all traffic was contained to Jimmy DeLoach.
Sure.
There's no amount of upgrades to the roads that they're going to provide us that will ameliorate the problem that we have now with additional trucks. It is already horrific. It takes me an hour to get out here. It'll take me an hour to get home. It shouldn't be like that. So that's my main issue. There's a million other things going on, but I think that's the real sticker for me and for a lot of other people. And I will say that I don't believe that the Highlands Neighborhood Association is officially recognized by the city of Savannah, and I have not attended an open meeting of theirs, which I don't know that they have had yet. So that is a very small voice in a very large community.
Well, thank you for that. Mr. Manager and Mr. Moore, I want you to respond to that. I think we're absolutely clear about our truck ban. That was placed on there because we did not want to further inundate these folks, not only with the large number of cars, but then also the trucks. Prior to your arrival, unbeknownst and without our approval between the county and Effingham County and the state, there was now the Effingham bypass, essentially what it was, that dumped even more traffic there. I kind of want your assessment as And I agree with Mr. Emma that, for what we're able to preserve from that, it has to be preserved to preserve any type of quality of life. We talked about quality of life earlier for downtown folk. Now we're talking about quality of life for them. And for them, it's not tourists, it's trucks. How do we maintain that? And Mr. Moore, I think the question is here that Mr. Emmer has pointed out was the only thing, Mr. Moore, I think, and I don't know if you had heard Mr. Emmer's point, and it relate to the only thing that was certain in his warehouse is not the residential. So is there a way that we can codify the residential so that it's as consistent as the warehouse?
I'm sorry, could we be a little more specific?
All right, Mr. Emma was saying that the only thing that the residential was aspirational, the warehouse was much more certain.
No, so the condition which would put those minimums, all those specific tracks I named, G, H, and I, and the minimum density, that means that whenever myself or Brad Clement, who is my development services planner, if we get a site plan and it would not have a residential density meeting that minimum, whether it was only residences or a combination of residential and commercial, it would not be approved. So in essence, we would be kind of keeping track, and ideally just based on those requirements, I'm guessing I'm going to get some sort of a more general master plan that would lay out their meeting the density overall. I could see this going a couple of different ways, but no, with the approval of those conditions, you will absolutely see a mixture of uses here or only residential on the other tract.
Mr. Emmer, you understand what he was saying?
I understand, but I respectfully disagree. We are here rezoning today the same way it can be rezoned in the future. So just because it's aspirational and we're guaranteeing that, that's no indication that a future city council might rezone it.
Well, which is the case anyway. I mean, I guess we can only deal with where we are on the field right now. Right. But I mean, this council.
That opinion does still stand. It is still aspirational, and I approve. I'm all for
right,
that.
Right.
And I love that they've come to the table with that. But it's still subjecting us to this, to these trucks.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to ask the manager about given, and I think I know I've been clear, and I'm certain that Alderwoman Lanier has been as well about our desire that trucks are not on those roads.
Mr. Mayor, let me say I had this conversation with the city manager because I agreed that is still somewhat of a problem. And we talked about the design and the expansion of the road and the road being able to eventually have the full capacity, and that may help somewhat. But the ideal thing would be if the traffic could go out on Jimmy DeLoach. But based on what I'm being told by the professionals with the expansion of the road and the design that will more or less guide some of that traffic away from Benton Boulevard, it looks hopeful. But I guess it remains to be seen if that would help alleviate some of the bottleneck in that area. But we have addressed this and had the conversation.
The city of Savannah can keep a truck ban on those roads for as long as the city of Savannah controls those roads.
That's the key word right there.
So, just to be completely, transparent and wholesome about this conversation, when we talk about Highlands and Benton Boulevard in the Highlands community, we often talk about the need to build out the full utility of that road network. And the reason that we're talking about building out the full utility of that road network is that currently the road network is only half built out.
Right.
The right-of-ways at the time were established in the city of Savannah for twice the size of what the roads were built as, because at the time you didn't need a 4-lane road or turn lanes or signalized intersections or the like. And so the city of Savannah took a economic route to putting 2-lane roads through those areas, but knew that in time there would need to be to build out those roadways. So we need to build out the full utility of those road networks. The other piece that comes into play is the GDOT's Coastal Empire Transportation Report, which shows what they refer to as the Effingham Parkway corridor as a priority corridor. I think that report has been termed by many as the do nothing report, because what it says is if we do nothing, traffic is going to get continually worse and worse. It isn't that it's going to stay the same, it's going to be worse and worse if we do nothing. It's going to be gridlocked. And there is a fact that the Effingham Parkway is being built and will be completed at some point soon and will connect to Benton Boulevard at the Effingham Chatham County line. And that is designated as a commuter thoroughfare, but of course, freight will be allowed to traverse that area. So we have to move in the ways that we need to move to build out the full utility of the road network to relieve the pressures of the commuters and the neighbors who need access to those roads to get in and out of their neighborhoods. And we also have to confront the reality of a growing transportation system that wants to connect Effingham County to Benton Boulevard, to Highlands Boulevard, to Jimmy DeLoach, to I-95, and to the ports. And so our approach from a professional staff point of view has been, one, to work hard to uphold the truck ban that City Council put in place on those roads, but also to plan for mitigating any of the worst impacts or potentially worst implications of an Effingham Parkway that would be built by GDOT through the Highlands Boulevard. So we want to be able to plan for that. I think that in the terms of this development, the City of Savannah is working on a development agreement with the petitioner that would mean that the petitioner would develop the full utility of the road network on Highlands for the first 1,000 feet north of Jimmy DeLoach to be able to accommodate not only the traffic that they're expecting to need to move in and out of those tracks, but also to help alleviate that intersection as well from others who are going to be coming across Highland Boulevard towards Jimmy DeLoach from deeper into the Highlands neighborhood. So I think that's an ultimate positive. Now, we've discussed designing the improvements in a way that trucks just aren't able to continue to go northwest along Highlands up further into the community and have to be able to turn, essentially left into the industrial tract of land there, and then as they come back out, dump back out into Jimmy DeLoach. So I think from a traffic engineering standpoint, that makes the most sense in terms of keeping the traffic moving and being able to cue any truck traffic that is generated by the development, mostly inside the development itself, versus stacking up along Jimmy DeLoach, which is also going to cause impacts on the intersection of Jimmy DeLoach and the Highlands. So you're just looking at it from a traffic engineering perspective, it makes the most sense to route the traffic in the way that it's been designed. We certainly understand the quality of life issues, the real quality of life issues for residents in the Highlands who are waiting too long to get in and out of their neighborhoods. The solution there is building out the full utility of that road network. This allows us to start biting off that apple.
Alderwoman Miller Blakely.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you so very much. Please tell me what it is your concern was, because I'm looking at this drawing that they gave us, and you're concerned with the two warehouses right here. Are these going to be warehouses?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're concerned with them coming off of, coming on to Jimmy DeLoach, or actually going into the residential area or to Benton Boulevard?
I'll clearly explain. I have no problem with Jimmy DeLoach having access both ways. That's what that road is designed for. Highlands Boulevard, which they will have access to, is the road that I have a problem with. And I would invite any of you to go out there to the Highlands, stand 1,000 feet away from Jimmy DeLoach on Highlands Boulevard, and look up at the light at Jimmy DeLoach, and then look up to the left at the light at I-95, and then imagine a line of trucks trying to get out of the neighborhood. We understand that they are slow to accelerate through no fault of their own. That's how they're designed. But that is what I'm going to face up against. And I guarantee you, and Van Johnson, you know this better than most, the residents will take notice of this decision because they will time it. They will video it and they will post it to Facebook. They do that anyways, but it'll be brought to your attention in a very real way, I guarantee you, because it will be horrific. But my point that I was making earlier was that is a future fight about the truck ban. And I understand that is a long shot fight. But it is a fight that I cannot possibly win if we give up the last 500 feet, because DOT will just look at it and say, well, that's a designated truck route. We'll go there. But I have to have this fight because where the Effingham Parkway ends right now will be at SR 30, which will go out to, which does connect to Highway 21, both of which are truck routes.
Okay.
So they can just route there and not south through us.
Okay, so city manager, you're saying that how long, there's not a ban, a truck ban on Highlands Boulevard as of yet, correct? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, there is a.
There is a ban?
Yes.
Okay, so if there's a ban on Highlands, and that's the road you're concerned with?
Yes, ma'am.
Then those trucks can come out on Jimmy DeLoach, and you would be okay with that, as opposed to them going on to the Highlands. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying, and I'll be completely clear. I don't like warehouses to begin with. There are plenty of other more appropriate places in this greater area for warehouses. But if this is the plan that we have to go with, I would be completely 100% satisfied and go home happy if we retain that only trucks had access to and from that parcel from Jimmy DeLoach Parkway. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I'll weigh in a little bit. Not disagreeing with Mr. Emmer's concerns or points. I think there's, again, a little bit of unintended consequences, too, that we need to look at, and traffic engineering is a thing, you know, and we can model this truck traffic, and I think it's very valiant to say, well, if we allow the first, 500 or 1,000 feet of Highlands to become allowable for trucks to enter this this development, then it chips away at the argument to keep a truck ban there, and I don't disagree with that sentiment. You could still, though, build what could also happen as well is you make a decision that this development needs to queue up its trucks off of Jimmy DeLoach, which to traffic engineers is not the best scenario, and which causes traffic concerns as well. And then you ultimately could lose the truck ban battle on Highlands Boulevard. And so you're then left with a concession here that's incredibly well-meaning, but ultimately, just adds to further frustration later down the road. So this is an issue where you've got to look at it to say, well, we might be able to save a little bit of an argument for the truck ban, but you might be creating a traffic engineering issue as well by having them queue off of Jimmy DeLoach. So you have to look at it in both ways.
So, go ahead.
Could I just say that maybe this isn't the right place for a warehouse then? If we have problems in both sides of this debate and there's no real winning answer here, maybe these warehouses shouldn't be included, and that's all I'll say to that.
So I guess, then how do you fix it?
Yes.
because on the other side of it, and Ms. Yellen, you come on up, we have employees that live out there. And I've heard from employees that could not get to work on time just because of the traffic that's there now. We're not even talking about the truck traffic. And again, beyond us talking about the more intensive uses that are posed by truck traffic in the area, certainly the danger as we move toward Vision Zero, from vehicles, regular passenger vehicles, and now these trucks flying in and out of here. That's my issue.
Well,
Because again, we've talked earlier today about the balance. And we're charged with the balance. And they just have to figure out, we lose, we have to determine on what hill we want to die on. And if it's the hill by doing the right thing for our residents that made an investment in Savannah, that believed in Savannah. Prior to your arrival, I made a lot of work personally to ensure they knew they were in Savannah, to change their zip code from 313, whatever it was, to 31407, because they were in Savannah. Then how do we make sure that they have the same types of protections, the same type of fight that we would give to anyone who lived 23 miles down this way?
And Mayor, I want to make it clear, I don't want to become the boogeyman of truck traffic. I'm not advocating for us to
Right.
change
No,
our
understood.
positions.
You sit in the seat, so you get it.
That's right. I'm saying that I can't change where the location of the Georgia Ports Authority is.
Right.
I can't change that logistics and truck traffic are a huge part of our economy. And for anyone who attended the Economic Outlook Forum yesterday knows that that's not going to slow down. Warehouses, have been a part of Savannah now for the better part of, 25 years in the way that they've been growing. And I think if I'm looking at it from a city management perspective, we have to be able to build infrastructure that supports both residential and light industrial uses, especially in West Chatham. Do we need to make sure that our buffers are adequate for quality of life? Yes. Do we need to ensure that we're thinking ahead of the game in terms of infrastructure versus building it 20 years too late when the congestion is already too high? But there are plenty of neighborhoods that fight truck traffic. I would be, I understand that our employees live in the Highlands. I care just the same about our residents who live in the Highlands than I do our employees who live in the Highlands. What I'm advocating for is we need to be able to plan for and build the infrastructure that's going to support the community that arises and plan better for it. If this isn't the right place for a warehouse, then it's not the right place for a warehouse. That isn't what our planning professionals believe, and it isn't what the development pattern has been. So I think that I'm just urging caution to say, we can work really, really hard to try to assuage the concerns of community members, but we need to make sure we understand what the consequence of that is going to be long-term, potentially. And that's really my only caution here, and how I would fix it is to do the things that we're doing. Continue to invest in infrastructure, continue to, for petitioners and developers who make it through the zoning process, to make sure that we're getting these benefits and infrastructure investments that we need to support not only their ability to be in the area, but for the other neighbors and the other users of that infrastructure. So I think that has to be the way that we approach these issues. If ultimately you don't believe that this is the right place for industrial or commercial development, you know, that's your vote. I think that the planning professionals have said the way that it's designed is appropriate, and I would think that we'd want to listen to our traffic engineers and make sure that we build the best possible infrastructure.
No, I mean, I think obviously it is. It's right on Jimmy DeLoach. It ties into 95. It ties into 16. I mean, it makes sense. But on the other end of it, we're a city of people and residences. Ultimately, not of STVRs and walk-in tours and truck traffic and warehouses.
And I'm not debating that, Mayor.
No, I'm saying. But I think,
yeah.
you know, for us, a guiding principle. So, I mean, maybe we just need to let y'all work that job out, and we just kind of, you know, until it is worked out in a way that makes
Mr. Mayor, what does, but
Mayor, may I address?
Well, let me, city manager, then I know you've been standing there for a moment, then Alderwoman Lanier.
I think I would ask to make sure that we understand what the expectation of work it out means. And that would just be what I want to know. I'm not,
Right.
you know, I think, you know, Mr. Emmert has every right to be here, concerned about this development, and to address his government. And he has, all of his points are incredibly valid. But I would say, you know, at what point do we require no opposition? If that's the requirement, then we can try to work towards that. But I just want to understand what's the expectation so that if council postpones this vote, I know what to go back and work on.
Okay, stand by on that. Mr. Yellen.
Mayor, it's somewhat difficult to stay in my lane because what's before you today is the land use plan, the zoning,
Yes.
and the future land use map. Site plan is not before you. That will be going to the Planning Commission. But and I can't even tell you how many times we've met with Edward Morrow behind us. There'll be a decel and an XL lane at the entrance on Jimmy DeLoach. That is clearly where we want our truck traffic to go. Jimmy DeLoach is the connector from the port to I-16. So traffic will be coming in on Jimmy DeLoach. It will be exiting on Jimmy DeLoach, the lion's share of our traffic. If you notice at the intersection of Highland and Jimmy DeLoach, right now that is a 3-lane intersection. Because we own both sides, we're already talking about dedicating land on both sides to make that from 3 lanes to 5 lanes so that there will be, and I know Mr. Chambliss will correct me if I'm wrong, there'll be 2 lanes in coming from the port. There'll be 2 lanes taking a left towards the port and 1 lane taking a right turn. We are voluntarily making improvements to that intersection because we know that we will benefit, as well as our neighbors, by relieving the congestion at that area. This is not a zoning matter, it's a site plan that will be coming up. So we know that by our personally dedicating land on both sides, going from 3 lanes to 5 lanes is enormous. If you go up Highlands, where roughly the D in Boulevard is, that's where our road on Alpha connects with a road into C-17. We're going to make every effort to put a traffic light there because it benefits the neighborhood to have a traffic light there, and it will benefit what we hope will be the future residents of C-17 and our users as well.
Will you commit to the traffic light? I mean, there's a difference between make every effort.
We need the warrants. We have to prove the warrants.
Right.
DOT just won't get.
Right.
In fact,
But it shouldn't be hard to prove.
we were trying to figure out a way before coming here. This maybe takes us a little bit away from the discussion. The road that the city owns behind us, which Mr. Chambliss tells me is 90 feet, not 60 feet, we wanted it to come straight over to Highlands and make the turn, but we don't own that other property.
Right.
So we're not able to make that improvement. So we created the bend to connect the two. DOT has its own system of warrants, which I don't pretend to understand. as soon as warrants are there, that is something that we want to do. We're prepared to do a development agreement with the city. The better this is, the better this intersection is, the better the traffic flow, the more likely that we can develop our property. We're not doing this on our own. We're doing this in connection with the neighborhood. How are we going to sell residential units on C-17 if they can't get out? We're going to take every step we can to make these improvements. But what we're here for today is, and I've used the expression often, what's the canvas that you want us to paint on? The last time I was here, that canvas was, can we have all industrial? And we were told resounding, no, you can't have all industrial. We're coming back with a plan that has commercial on Alpha, on the wings, with the inside being industrial only because it faces a warehouse across the street and it's going to be at the back door. It's like being at the back of a shopping center. You're not going to want residential there. So it made sense to keep the industrial in the middle with the wings commercial. The other side, we're only keeping commercial on the outside. The inside, as you can see, not only are we hoping for multifamily and apartments and townhomes and rent-to-own, but we're keeping the outside for commercial because that's what we were told by the neighborhood. And I'm sorry that Mr. Emmer doesn't like our plan, but I can't recall.
I don't think that's not what he said.
Well,
but that's not what he said.
He has some objections, and it's for me to be involved in a project this size and have one person here to raise objections, whatever they may be, is remarkable. That would be like requiring city council to vote unanimously on everything. It's not going to happen.
So far, we have today.
You're good. You're good today. My point, though, is we tried at our meetings to make as many people happy as we could, knowing that we're not going to make everybody happy. And we were upfront about this industrial and how it was going to front onto Jimmy DeLoach. We were upfront about the improvements we were going to make. I cannot satisfy 100% of the people 100% of the time. We happen to think that this plan is extraordinary. I wish I could show you where we began and the incremental steps we got, and kudos to MP staff behind me. They made us change a lot. So that's why we stand before you today. We think this is the first step of a lot of steps to come, but today is about just, is the canvas right? And we think that it is. And is it consistent with the future land use plan, which Mr. Morrow said it was? The next part's the hard part. We go site plan.
There's a motion to close the hearing?
Mr. Mayor, move to close the hearing.
Thank you, Mayor.
And probably moved in second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Alderwoman Lanier, then Alderwoman Miller-Blakely.
Yes, I'd like to say that we are all experiencing growing pains in Savannah, especially driven by the port and industry, and most times we consider that a great thing. I live an eighth of a mile from the port. I could throw a stone walk right down the street and have lived, my family's in their 7th generation in the area, and we are suffering. Our communities are probably experiencing the most negative impacts of the growth right there. We have a love-hate relationship because our ancestors were the one in the mud pulling those ships out with hooks and Crocosac. However, I feel the situation here. I feel the pain of, we're talking about from Benton to Jimmy DeLoach, that part of Highlands right there. I appreciate the fact that the developers have listened to the residents and responded to the extent where they were willing, the organized residents were willing to write a letter in support of this final negotiated plan. Now, where I live at, with the problems we're having, we're working really hard and begging for traffic calming to help deal with the problems of the intrusion of the traffic. And so I think we could use some traffic calming in this area to control this portion of the road and do what we have to do. But I think this is a prime example of resident involvement, being resident-driven, and smart growth and development. And so we have to make some decisions because we've been kicking this can down the road a long time. It was unacceptable for so long, and we've gotten to this point where the residents, the organized residents, and we said earlier when we were in the executive session, or when we were at lunch, we were talking about how you can do all you can do and everybody won't come out to participate in these open forums, but there's an invitation extended. But most time what you find, you could put your best effort out there to do this, and at the last, when you've made some decisions and the people who have consistently been involved make a decision, someone's going to come. And this is not the case, because this gentleman has been involved and voicing his opinion from day one. But we're going to have to make some decisions, and sometimes decisions are hard to make. But we do have to weigh these things out and try to balance it and hold contractors and developers to a certain standard. And so we're talking about that portion of the road. We're talking about widening and getting the full capacity of the road. That might be solutions to this problem. We did not have access to Jimmy DeLoach. Now we do. And so I think we have a project here that residents at least are saying that we can live with. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Little Blakely, and then we're going to move on, y'all.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I just want to be clear with this. Highlands Boulevard has a truck ban, right? That's what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr., what's your name? Mr. Hemming?
Emmer.
Emmer. Mr. Emmer is saying that they don't want trucks coming out on Highland Boulevard because of the truck ban. And you would be okay with that, right, Mr. Emmer?
If it was contained to Jimmy DeLoach, I would be okay.
Okay, if the trucks come out. So what is the problem? If the ban is already on the Highlands and they're saying that they would like to see the trucks come out on Jimmy DeLoach, then that's a win-win. I don't see where the problem is.
Well,
We
I
can
think it's
just go ahead and vote and be done.
I think the problem is because Mr. Emmer probably correctly understands that if they were to improve the first 1,000 feet of Highlands Boulevard, that they would be making those improvements so that they could direct any truck traffic that they wanted into their light industrial spot to turn north onto Highlands and then into their property right off of Jimmy DeLoach. And that allowance would chip away at our ability to keep the truck ban there. And I think it's an astute position. What I can say is that, this isn't a site plan. There are no, roads drawn on here. It's really about a rezoning and a future land use map amendment. If council's biggest concern is the ins and outs of truck traffic, I think, that's something that's can continue to work on through the site plan, and again, has another bite at the apple publicly with the community as well. So that's, I'm not trying to push this effort along further, but just saying that a decision today doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be a truck on or off Highlands Boulevard, or if they're going to be coming off of Jimmy DeLoach. I think that site plan and process is where all of those items are determined. My point simply to that concern is that I would hope that we also listen to traffic engineers who are thinking about how to move traffic most effectively through these areas.
I think hopefully, Mr. City Manager, you also hear council and you will articulate to the traffic engineers the spirit of where we are. Alderwoman Lear, if you would like to make a motion
Yes,
on item number
Mr.
15.
Mayor, regarding agenda item number 15, the petition of Jason Chambliss and Ryan Thompson on behalf of Motion Yaragi, I move that the first reading be considered the second reading and the measure placed upon its passage and passed.
Second.
And probably move to second that the petition of Jason Chambliss and Ryan Thompson on behalf of Motion Yaragi, the first reading be considered the second. It's on its place upon its passage and pass. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Mr. Emmer, thank you, and we hear you.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving back to item number 13, petition of William Claiborne for David Williams of Henry Street Bistro, LLC, on behalf of the property owner Robert Ansley for a special use permit to allow a restaurant with accessory alcohol sales at 1308 Montgomery Street. At this point, 19-acre property is zone TC1 traditional commercial and automatic district 2. We've seen this before. Okay.
That is correct, yes, sir. So I can be brief with this one. This is a location, you can see an aerial on your screen, which is the intersection of Montgomery and West Henry. This site has a history of functioning as a tavern, I believe, but the most recent business approval is for a restaurant. And so this petitioner is here today asking for a special use permit to allow accessory alcohol sales in association with a restaurant use. And you can see what it formerly looked like there on the screen. This is, again, just south of the park there. In looking at the future land use map, it currently indicates traditional commercial use, and the zoning is TC1, traditional commercial 1, and so this request is consistent with both of those. The petitioner is proposing to establish the Henry Street Bistro, which is an approximately 165-seat restaurant. Per the ordinance, a restaurant is an establishment that prepares and serves food and beverages to the public. And in essence, the better portion of its proceeds would come from the sale of food. Once you get over that 50% threshold, then you become something else, which again is not the focus of today's petition, accessory alcohol sales in association with a restaurant use. We did mail notices to those within 300 feet of the property. Signs were posted and ads were run in the newspaper. A meeting was not required. However, I did have correspondence with the Victorian Neighborhood Association's president, who conveyed that there is a good neighbor agreement that had previously been signed at this location, and they felt confident that as long as the owner and operator intended to follow that same agreement, they were in support of this. And so with that, MPC staff did recommend two conditions. The first, that the special use permit be non-transferable, and we added on this body's last approval with limiting operating hours. MPC felt it appropriate for this body to again place those conditions for restricted hours and opted only for the one condition that the special use permit not be transferable. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. This this looks familiar because we went through this process before. As I understand it, this business came up. We went through extensive back and forth between the neighborhood and the business. We came up with a good neighbor agreement that the petitioner agreed to, and we approved it. As I understand it, though, the business never did operate. And so basically the clock ran out. Right. And so they have to come back toward us again. And so requesting the same thing, because I guess they're to the point where they're soon to, or trying to open, right?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Petitioners?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Will Claiborne, good to see you all. This establishment, I'm here with Mr. Williams. This establishment is actually already running now as a restaurant, but without the alcohol sales. So the issue that we're asking here today is to be able to operate as a full restaurant with the alcohol sales. At the MPC, we did note that this is a new application than the previous application. I don't believe that there's anyone here speaking opposed to this business here today on behalf of...
There actually is approval with the conditions that the MPC staff.
I understand that the MPC itself, though, did not limit the hours, and so we are requesting for there not to be a limitation to lop off the 2 hours at the end of these various days. That limitation would not be consistent with other establishments that are in the area that we're aware of. This is a very busy trafficked corner already. I mean, this is the corner of Montgomery Street here. And it would really impinge on this business's ability to make a profit. This is a difficult business, the restaurant business in this city, and to take and lop 2 hours off of every single day for this business that could be profitable hours, we see as a real issue, and we're asking for the council to not put that limitation on there. The rent's going to be the same, the utilities are going to be the same, the cost of operating this business is virtually unaffected by lopping off those 2 hours. They don't save any money, but what they are going to lose out on is a lot of revenue and potentially this city would lose out on the ability to have this establishment be there and thriving, and a place that members of the community could come and enjoy themselves.
Mr. Claiborne, your client before council agreed to these conditions.
That was a previous application that, at this point is, in our view, moot. And so we are asking to be able to move forward. I understand that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, I was just saying, we just.
I didn't represent him at the time, and
Right.
and I understand.
Because I remember I asked the question.
Sure.
And so, okay.
No, I acknowledge it. I'm not hiding that from you at all, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. I'm advocating on behalf of my client that upon, reconsidering and not being able to be open for the last, period of time in an effort to make this a thriving business, they are asking for it to be approved without that. We understand the council, has its authority to do what it wants, but, that was a prior application. On this one, we're just asking to be able to run just like other competitor restaurants and businesses, restaurants in the area.
All right, thank you. This is a public hearing. I do have one person, Miss Nancy Mai is here. Come on up. And you have 2 minutes, Ms. Maya.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Nancy Maya, and I am the president of the Victorian Neighborhoods Association. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. The VNA's vision and value established in spring of 2020 outlined the expectation that entertainment venues be in scale and character with the neighborhood, and while we welcome small-scale restaurants and bars, we discourage nightclub types of operations that cater to high-capacity late-night activity. This location is both large-scale and abutted by residential properties. I will also add that there are 2 establishments in our neighborhood that close past midnight, and both of those establishments seat fewer than 30 people. So we're talking about very different objects. Based on these facts and reflective of our vision and values, on August 10th, 2023, the petitioner agreed to and was unanimously granted an alcohol license by the City Council with the condition that hours of operation be Monday through Thursday, close of business at 10, and Friday and Saturday, close of business at 12 a.m. 1308 Montgomery Street is in the VNA, but also within a block of our 2 neighbors, Thomas Square and Kyler Brownsville. All 3 of us believe, even though the original alcohol license was allowed to expire, the original conditions should continue to apply. We are all in support of an accessory alcohol sales permit be granted, but only under the conditions on hours of operation originally granted by City Council in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. And this is on behalf of what neighborhoods?
Victorian Neighborhoods Association, Thomas Square Neighborhood Association, and Kyler Brownsville Neighborhood
Thank
Association.
you very much.
You're welcome.
Are there
Thank
any
you.
other comments from the public? Yes, ma'am. And we'll need a card from you once you get finished, okay?
I represent one of the property owners on the corner of Henry and
All right, please state your name first for the record.
Debbie Lloyd.
Okay, go ahead.
I represent one of the property owners on the corner of Henry and Jefferson. We have approximately 15 to 20 tenants at any times whose homes back up to this property. And we are concerned about the noise and the thing to our tenants and residents there in that neighborhood. And I'm going to have to agree, 10 o'clock on weeknights and 12 o'clock on weekends is only fair to the people who live in that neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any other comments? Is there a motion to close?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Ask that we close the hearing.
Probably moved and seconded. We close the hearing. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Members of council, yes, anybody?
Mr. Morrow.
All right, we'll start with Alderwoman Miller Blakely.
The 2 establishments that you are speaking of, somebody mentioned that there are 2 other establishments. It's in that area. What time do they close?
That is a great question. Ms. Maya did mention 2 establishments. What's the name? Okay.
For the record, Black Rabbit and what's the other one?
Could you come to the mic, please?
So the Black Rabbit is located on Barnard basically Barnard and Henry.
Barnard and Henry.
Barnard
I'm
and
familiar
Henry.
with that. What time
And
do they close?
I believe they close at 1, and they seat 28 people.
Okay, and the other establishment is?
The Legion.
The Legion, they close at 2.
They close at 2. And
Yes,
their
because
bar
I
area-
attend,
right,
as a
and-
veteran, I go there often. Okay.
So my point is just that we're talking about 160 people versus 28.
Well, I can truly say that the Legion holds a large amount of people as well. And this is, thank you, ma'am. This is a restaurant,
That is
correct?
Yes, ma'am.
This is not a nightclub.
It is not a nightclub.
This is not a tavern.
Not a tavern.
Okay. Colleagues, this is a restaurant. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Morrow,
Yes, ma'am.
what was the reasoning for those conditions?
Just looking at prior approvals, MPC staff does take into account the things that have happened previously with regard to zoning actions on sites so that we are consistent. Part of what we do is just reviewing the zoning history on sites as new applications come in. And in looking at what had happened here previously, staff felt it was prudent to apply those same standards. Not only that, it's a requirement that we do consult with the neighborhoods as we make our best effort to. And that was consistent with the Good Neighbor Agreement, which was spoken of and which are frequently spoken of with regard to similar situations for special use requests.
I was asking because what we are experiencing is a state of flux. You know, we're seeing the gentrification, we're seeing the forced displacement, we're seeing different populations moving in, and now we're seeing restrictions being placed on certain industries. So I don't see the equity in this because what we're doing is assuming that people are going to fail or fall into some type of pattern that they weren't responsible for prior to that. I think we should give folks an opportunity to operate, and then if they fall into that category, and we have measures in place to deal with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Alderman Leggett.
Thank you.
Petition.
How you doing?
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you?
Wonderful. What are the hours that the petitioner is asking for?
They'd like to be able to be open until, consistent with the Legion, for example, to be open until midnight on weekdays and then until 2 a.m., consistent with the city ordinances.
I'm asking because they are considered a bistro restaurant. Most bistros and restaurants are consistent with the hours of 10 to midnight. Why do they have to be open as late as 1 o'clock?
Well, all bistros have a different style and a different scheme and everything of what they're running inside their restaurant. My theme is totally different from every other restaurant. I take care of my patrons and I make sure I take care of my neighbors.
But what is I'm trying to figure out what the theme is.
As well as giving my neighbors in the neighborhood jobs. So, you know, I do a lot for the neighborhood as well. I'm not just trying to open up a nightclub. I'm not trying to have a rowdy nightclub or anything of that nature. I'm just trying to have a business that's going to be successful. And I can't do it with the hours that I've been governed or made to, you know, to just accept because somebody put these hours on me.
Well, we asked to meet with the neighbor. Have you met with the neighborhood association at all?
We've extended several opportunities to meet with them. They weren't meeting over the course of the period of time when we were trying to get in front of the MPC. We're certainly willing to be in dialogue with them and consistent with what was just said, that, you know, if there are concerns in the future, we would want to address them with the neighborhood association rather than have this limitation be put on the front end. And my client has previously articulated to me that with other places closing as early as they do, there's not a place for people to necessarily go when they're coming off a shift.
So here's the thing, Mr. Claiborne.
Yes, sir.
Just as the mayor stated, this is the same place we were a year and a half ago when we asked the same question, and he agreed to the current conditions.
I was agreed to what I was forced to.
No, that wasn't forced.
I had to step in now.
We asked.
Because I remember the question.
Not that way. Not that
Okay,
way.
because I asked the question. I said, are you okay with this?
I apologize. You did, but it wasn't on your behalf. I apologize.
Okay, all right.
So it don't have anything to do with the board.
Okay, all right,
I
all right.
apologize for that. That's not the way I meant for it.
Okay, no problem.
So I apologize.
We good.
Yes.
All right. All right, Mr. Alderman Leggett has the floor.
Well, so, Mr. Mayor, if I wanted to make a motion, I'll make a motion to approve with the same standard that we asked for, the same recommendations we asked before. It's the same thing that was in the city manager's Tuesday memo that we established. meant 2 close at 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday nights and 12 midnight and Friday, Saturday night closing consistent.
I'd like to do a substitute motion.
Been properly moved and seconded. What's your substitute motion?
That we give him the same rights as we give everybody else.
Well, I think that's not the right motion. The same rights as everyone else means that he has a liquor license.
That we give him the same rights that we give the
Alderwoman,
Legion and the Black Rabbit.
Alderwoman, just let's be clear. He's
clear.
asking for a special use permit. The motion is to grant him the special use permit.
Okay, that we give him the special use permit.
Without the
same
condition,
way-
without the condition.
conditions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a second for that?
Second the motion.
All right, it's been properly moved. So the first vote we're taking is for the approval without these conditions. That means that he would operate with the same
Any normal
times as everyone
business.
else. Correct. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Nay.
Motion fails,
My God.
3 to 6. All right, now to go to the original motion, which is the motion to approve the special use permit with the conditions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I ask that we.
It's already been it's moved and seconded.
Moved
All
and
in favor
seconded.
indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Oppose.
Motion, Alderman Bell?
Nay.
Nay? You voted nay?
And what were we voting?
We're, yeah, we're voting to approve the special use permit with the conditions.
No.
With the conditions that have been agreed to and approved by the neighborhoods that we have discussed already.
Yeah, I'm voting against it.
You're voting against it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time a black business come up, we go to this.
At what, 10 and 12?
It is for them to approve the special use permit with the conditions that have been agreed to by Mr. Ansley and the three neighborhoods.
And they're asking for extended, right?
That's correct.
Just so I'm voting against that.
Okay, huh?
I'm voting against that.
Okay, so the motion passes. Now that is 6 to 2. 6 to 2, motion passes. 6 to 2. Alderwoman Blakely's not in here. So, Mr. Ansley, Mr. Claiborne, you have your permit. Let's show you could be a good neighbor, and let's see how we can work it out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Items for the second reading, item number 16, petition of Jeff Jetson on behalf of Seacrest 7 LLC, 1015 Whitaker Street LLC, and Portfolio Holdings LLC with agent Michael Garcia for future land use map amendment for .97 acres located 1001 Whitaker Street, 1015 Whitaker Street, 120 West Park Avenue, and 124 West Park Avenue. We've already discussed this to change the FLUM designation from traditional neighborhood to traditional commercial in Automatic District 2. There is not a public hearing on this. We've already had that. What is your pleasure regarding this item?
Mr. Mayor, we've done our due diligence. I met with the petitioner. Also, I met with some of the residents, and they have an agreement with the petitioner, and I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda item as.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 17, petition of Jeff Jepson on behalf of Seacrest 7 LLC, 1015 Whitaker Street LLC, and Portfolio Holdings LLC with agent Michael Garcia for zoning map amendment for .97 acres located at 1001 Whitaker Street, 1015 Whitaker Street, and 120 West Park Avenue, 124 West Park Avenue, to change the traditional neighborhood TN1 to traditional commercial TC2 in Automatic District 2.
It's the second reading.
That's the second reading, that's correct.
Yes,
I just
Mr. Mayor.
need a motion. And let the motion, for item number 16, the motion, it passed 8-0. It should be 8-0. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we approve this item.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Thank you very much. Item number 18. We've also had the hearing on this petition to annex 667 acres located at 420 Bush Road and 302 Bush Road from Chatham County to the city of Savannah. What is your pleasure on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion for the adoption of the agenda item as written.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor.
Opposed?
I've got to make a statement before
One
we go.
second, ma'am, hold on.
Okay, yes, sir.
Opposed? Motion passes. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, I need to make a statement for the record on this. And that is that the petitioner did meet with the residents. Is Attorney McCorkle in here? Can you ask him to please?
All right, now,
Attorney?
wait. What are we doing now?
I have to make a statement.
But I need you to make your statement because the council's already taken action, so.
Yes, sir, but I need to make a statement for the record.
No, then make your statement. So I just
Yeah,
know,
make a
I want to be
statement.
very clear because council's already acted, so make your statement.
19. Okay. Well, Mr. McCorkle, this statement is for you, and I'm putting this for the record. The residents
Number
met with
19.
you on Monday night, and I want to have it stated in the record, the conditions that you stated, the petitioner stated that when the future movements on this property, in this area, that the petitioner contact the petitioner has all the information of all of the persons who were there at the meeting. So there is no reason why the persons who were there cannot be and will and should be and must be, and I'm just putting this in the record to hold your feet to the fire with this, so that this petitioner, as it moves forward with the development, to keep these residents involved. So there's no excuse in coming back in front of us and making any type of gesture about these residents not knowing anything about what's moving forward with this petitioner. That's what I want to say. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, let's be clear about what this was because there is some history to this property. Some time ago, petitioner came, I don't know if you were representing the petitioner the first time, about it becoming commercial development. And I don't want to traumatize Mr. McCorkle, but it was a blistering day and the council denied it. Because we were listening to the residents that did not want to have the intrusive and intensive uses of industrial uses in proximity to their property. Mr. McCorkle has come back. We have prioritized housing, and so they've come back with something that is much less intensive and much less intrusive.
Right.
And so clearly we have heard the residents, although they're not our residents, we've heard them, and now have something that's much more palatable for them. I think ultimately you can't have it both ways. You can't say I don't want this and I don't want this. I mean, it has to be. So in this case, Mr. McCorkle, I think your fortunes will be a little different because you and your clients have heard counsel that was listening to the county residents in terms of that. So I'll entertain a motion for item number 19. And Alderwoman Shabazz, since you started it, you might as well go ahead and make the motion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to move to adopt the agenda item as written.
Second.
Probably moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 1,
Mayor
2, 3.
Johnson.
1 second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8-0. Yes, ma'am.
I know we've already voted on it, but number 16 for the record, number 16 and 17, I oppose.
Well, you weren't in here. We
Already
took the
for the
vote.
record,
Yeah,
but I mean, you've already said it,
yeah,
but
we
I
already
just
put it in
want
the
it to be
record.
known, I oppose.
Well, you weren't participating in the vote, so, I mean.
Well, I mean,
it's-
just for the record, I had to,
It was noted that you
All
out of the
right.
room.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Items number 20 through 27 under purchasing. Are there any pullouts?
Mr.
25,
Mr.
please.
Mayor,
All right, we'll pull number 25 out.
if there are no more pullouts, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of items number 20 through 24, 26, and 27.
Second
Second.
motion.
Been probably moved and seconded that we approve items number 20 through 24, 26, and 27. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let me read those into the record. Item number 20 is authorized city manager to execute a contract with Guaranteed Energy Savings with McKinstry in an amount not to exceed $1 $3,875,000. Item number 21, authorize city manager to execute a contract modification number 3 for Energy Performance Owners Representative Consulting Services with 2KB Energy Services in the amount not to exceed $166,913. Item number 22 is to authorize city manager to execute a contract for e-citation printers with Tyler Technologies in the amount of $289,800, and I approve this only if they're not ticketing me. Item number 23, authorize city manager to execute contract modification number 2 for protective equipment for Savannah Fire Department with Bennett Fire in the amount of $300,000. Item number 24, authorize city manager to execute contract modification number 1 for the installation of electrical receptacles for the expansion of the city's camera system with Aiken Harbor in the amount of $65,712. Item number 26, authorize city manager to execute contract amendment number 1 to the construction contract for the police headquarters renovation project to Jackson Locks Construction in the amount of $3,675,000. Mr. Manager, if you would, when you get a chance to send us an update on that, please.
Yes, sir.
Item number 27, authorize city manager to execute a contract modification number 2 renewal for medical and pharmacy stop-loss insurance services with the Assurance of Tennessee Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $1,123,923. Item number 25, authorize city manager to execute a contract modification number 1 for camera equipment for the expansion of the city's camera system with net planning in the amount of $254,534. Alderwoman Lanier.
Yes,
Excuse me, Ms. Lanier. Mayor Johnson, did you read 26? I didn't hear that.
I did.
Oh, okay, I didn't hear you read it.
Imagine to ask the city manager to give us an update.
Okay.
Alderwoman Lanier.
yes, Mr. Manager, based on this agenda item about the cameras being placed by SPD throughout the city, and I think we said earlier in the proceedings that this isn't an item or matter that we will want to announce where the cameras are going to be. And I noticed in here and what was in the paper, it did mention the housing authority properties. And in the first district, there have been requests from the people in the public housing for cameras for some time and lights. But seeing the Baker Street Park, and then I'm sure there's some other areas now. What I read was that these cameras will be targeted to high-traffic areas, but these aren't traffic cameras per se, and not necessarily high-crime areas. Is that fair to say, or could you explain that to me, please?
We are expanding the camera system to places that are high-trafficked, not necessarily just road traffic, and that we've not only, one, had requests for cameras or are repeatedly trying to find more information about incidents in these areas or need additional eyes and technology on those areas. That's where SPD is choosing to place these cameras. We wanted to be clear, to be up in front, that these cameras also required a partnership with the Housing Authority, because we will be placing more city cameras in Housing Authority properties across the city, including District 1.
That's a good thing. But I do have some concern with where we're going to be targeting the high-traffic areas, and what is the thought pattern behind that? Now, I would like to say that I have been discussing gentrification for the last 30 years, and I have been lately teaching people what gentrification is and what it looks like, and how it impacts communities, and the worst aspect of it being forced displacement, because all of these elements together add up to forced displacement. I am also an advocate of asset-based community development, and by us doing that and targeting certain high-traffic areas is really just the opposite of asset-based community development of government. And I'm saying this, and what I did, I went out and did some research, because you all might not believe me. So I did some research about the best practices and the best minds in this area, and what the thought pattern was on just targeting certain areas that are high traffic. And I like to say that heavy camera surveillance in low-wealth Black communities often serve as a tool for law enforcement and urban management. aimed at reducing crime and increasing safety. However, its ramifications and implications are multifaceted and can be detrimental to these communities, such as increased surveillance and policing. Surveillance cameras can lead to heightened police presence and activity, which may result in increased stops, searches, arrests. This can foster an environment of distrust between residents and law enforcement, exacerbating feelings of vulnerability and marginalization from the professionals. Privacy invasion, infringement on residents' privacy. The invasion of privacy can also lead to a sense of being criminalized for merely existing in one's own neighborhood. Displacement and gentrification. Heavy surveillance is often a precursor to gentrification. Surveillance can serve to clean up neighborhoods in preparation for new developments, pushing out existing community members. Social tensions. Residents may feel stigmatized or marginalized. Economic impacts. Local businesses may suffer as potential customers feel uncomfortable in an environment where they are constantly monitored. Community dynamics, and it goes on and on. I got 4 pages of facts. Heavy camera surveillance in low-wealth Black communities is often implemented with the intention. Oh, well, let me just read this summary, and I'll be done in summary. While surveillance is often justified as a safety measure, it can exacerbate systemic inequities, contributed to the stigmatization and economic marginalization of low Black communities, and act as a mechanism for gentrification and displacement. Addressing these issues requires a holistic approach that considers the broader social and economic impacts of surveillance. Now, being that that's the professional opinions on what it is we're about to do here, this is what we're about to do. This is what's being proposed, and this is what the professionals are saying, and this is what I have a problem with, and it is not in keeping with asset-based community development. So at the same time, what I'm seeing in these high-traffic areas is an increase in condemned houses and heavy code violations, and it's impossible. And the residents now, community people, are working to establish a trades training center on Fell Street where we could not get the support on supporting that. And if you do some Googling and some research, you'll see that right now there's a movement towards young people who are coming out of high school opting for trades as opposed to college. So this seems to make sense, which is also a criminal justice tool to support anti-crime, to have these type of measures that could also work hand in hand with preparing and repairing and renovating the properties to work with these people in these areas. So we're taking a whole different approach. We're taking the stick and where I think we should be applying the carrot. So surveillance cameras in requested areas like public housing, at high traffic areas, motor traffic where we have a lot of incidents, accidents, yes. But just to say this area in the park gets lots of traffic, so we'll place cameras. I'm having a problem with that and supporting that based on the facts and the best practices that I just shared with you.
Well, we're well aware of the best practices here, and certainly understand the concern, and that isn't our approach to public safety. It is not our approach to public safety. Our approach to public safety is precision policing and using data and community relationships to help engender better public safety. And I think that is showing through in our crime data, especially for the 2024. Our city cameras perform many functions, and we put them where they're requested. I believe you requested it for Baker Street Park, and we also place it in places where we often feel like we have missed opportunities when we're looking back at where our camera systems do have eyes on, where we wish we had some eyes in order to increase public safety. I understand the concern there, but surveillance is not our public safety or economic opportunity and vitality tool. Our city cameras are an important tool, and one that we place in strategic areas to make sure that we're able to keep up in real time or go back and investigate things that may happen. So I understand your concern and want to just say that that is not our approach to public safety, and that we have, many items that come up on the agenda, and certainly that we pass an FY25 budget that support really strong community development and economic opportunity along with those public safety efforts.
Mr. Manager, let me just say, every time I look at Chief Lenny Gunther, Chief Gavin, Chief Adams, I see our approach to community and public safety. When I see the money that we have put in terms of providing off-roads for individuals to be able to get licensure in food preparation, in forklift, in certified nursing assistant, that's our approach to public safety. When I look at the hundreds of almost 1,000 kids over the summer that we engage with through our camps and our Recreation Reimagined initiatives, that's our approach to public safety. Our citizens demand of us that we do all we can to be able to keep people safe, not only for them to be safe, but to be able to feel safe. And that is an opportunity for us to do two things, not only leveraging people, but also leveraging technology. I go to these crime scenes, and I'm there when it happens.
Yes, sir.
And to look around and know the difference between getting a bad person who's done a very bad thing off the street might be video surveillance, means the difference. We have asked our citizens through their Ring cameras to be able to help provide us this information. Mr. Manager, I've shared with you, we have blind spots, and we can't have a police officer standing in those blind spots. We can't have it both ways. We can't turn around and say, well, don't look at me, but then you should have looked at me when this had occurred. We have to be able to balance it in a way that makes sense. I've walked through these public housing developments. Alderman Leggett has joined me prior to Ms. Hester's arrival. And they're dark spots, and they're blind spots. And people who are inclined to criminal activity know that. If we're going to solve and if we're going to prevent, we have to be able to use everything in our arsenal to be able to make those things happen. So what you have presented to us through the police chief is a way for us in 60 locations to be able to expand our eyes across our city to be able to make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, we can say we don't want the eyes, but then we have to also be very careful about what we get because we don't have the eyes. My goal is if someone is engaged in violent activity, particularly that of a gun or sexual deviant activity, that they are caught and we have as much evidence as we can to make sure that they are not darkening the doors of our community for a very long time. The question for us is how bad do we want this to happen? Now, for those who want, if you're not doing anything, you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is, in the days of where people have rights, and they do have rights, the evidentiary value of tape or video is very, very important to us. And I trust Chief Gunther and his team, this city, understanding who is sitting up here, where we won't target, but we will go where the data takes us. Where the crimes are, where the crimes are. Where it's occurring, we have data, then we leverage that data to be able to make data-informed decisions. Is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, can I finish by saying?
I'll take a motion. I'll take a motion. Then we'll.
And I have a question.
Mr.
as
Mayor,
well.
move for the approval.
Second. Okay.
I need to finish, please.
Go ahead.
Because we're not saying that. We're saying that we're placing these cameras in high traffic areas, not high crime areas, and that's the concern. So the data, let's follow the data, because let's follow the data with the crime data, and then that we could justify our actions. Now, there's crime, and then there's the perception of crime. Now, I keep mentioning over and over again that in the last decade, we lost 10,000 black people from the city of Savannah. 10,000 with gentrification and forced displacement. And we know the areas. Now, and I asked the city manager, to please provide for me up until this point, how many have we lost this time? Because we need to stop this bleed. And these are the type of activities that exacerbates, because the facts and the data tell us that. So we want to continue this way. When we lose another 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 black folks out the city of Savannah, this is the reason why. I'm done. Thank you.
I'll submit to you something different, because I have similar education and training. 10,000 black folks didn't leave because of forced displacement. A lot of them left because they could leave. They had the money to leave. They could afford bigger homes. They could be able to follow their dreams, and there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. Well, I mean, it's fine. I mean, this is my opinion. But the fact is, when you look at data trends, these folks haven't moved far. Folks are doing better, and they're able to do better. Now, I will also tell you, which is a fact, when you look downtown at Ellis Square and look downtown River Street, that's where those are high traffic areas. And guess what? We have cameras there. We have cameras there. Why? Because there's a bunch of people there. And guess what? It has helped us to solve crime there. We've been able to see when things have happened there without giving out too much operational stuff. We've been able to see very clearly what has occurred. Very few places in the downtown area that you are not being watched by something. That's data. So what I've heard residents throughout the community say, we want the same attention that y'all put downtown in our neighborhoods. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're doing. If you don't want it, then just vote it down. Go ahead, Alderwoman Blakely, Alderwoman Bell, we voting. I got to go home.
Thank you. Mr. City Manager, in the Housing Authority properties, where will these cameras be, and which Housing Authority properties?
We're not doing that, ma'am.
So we don't have that information?
Well, again, we'll allow that to be.
I am concerned because I have been getting phone calls. An elderly man lost his life in one of the housing projects. And
I was there.
Some other individuals lost their lives. And when Chantre Puff Grant lost his life, there was not adequate lighting there. So that's why I'm asking, where will these cameras go, and in what housing projects?
We will allow that.
I will talk to the new director. And
We
she'll
will
be able
allow
to let me
that to
know.
be
Thank you.
operational. The Housing Authority, in that case, are the landowners. And as relates to Chantre, that was in Savannah Gardens, which is a different animal itself. But I'll leave that to them.
But I'm looking at what it says,
you don't have to
Housing
ask
Authority
the
of
Housing
Savannah
Authority
properties. If we're
director for
paying
that.
it,
It's going to
I
be
wanna
on
know
our right
which
of
ones
way
it's
and
going
our
into.
So
technology.
you're
I'm
saying-
fine to provide
Say that again,
counsel
City Manager.
with those locations of the additional cameras. I ask, in the same ways that we talked about with the walking tours or with STVRs, that we allow public safety and our public safety operations that have sensitive information and operations to remain sensitive. We want people to know that there are eyes and ears out there, whether that's technology, whether that's a law enforcement officer. But we also, want to make sure that our operations that need to be confidential and remain confidential, or at least not widely broadcasted, can remain that way.
That could be a deterrent to let them know
you.
with cameras here, so
Yeah.
you might not want to do the activity that you're about to do.
Folks know
Giving them
what the
some
cameras
time
look
so they
like,
can
but we
turn.
will provide
Real
we will
time.
provide the information to City Council.
So, Mr. City Manager, I don't want to ask, I don't want to continue that conversation. When I was reviewing the agenda, I noticed that, I think it was number 20, that we're spending $1,875,000 to replace old electrical fixtures with LED energy efficient fixtures, and that we're projecting that we would save $3.48 million over 20 years. And I just wondered, and you probably do, but I wondered if we keep any kind of records, so if we monitor that to make sure that we are getting the savings that we anticipated. Very simple.
Yes, ma'am, we are, and the second contract on the list that was approved tonight is the compendium to that capital investment, which is that monitoring piece to it, which ensures that those energy savings are captured and registered, and that we actually do indeed capture those savings.
Been properly moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion passes 8-1. Moving on to the agreements, items 28 through 30. 28, approval of a water sewer agreement with New Hampstead Track 5B LLC for Oakwood and New Hampstead Phases 2 and 3. Item number 29, approval of water sewer agreement with SHDC LLC for Savannah Highlands Phase 9. Item number 30, approval of water sewer agreement with Godly Station Enterprises LLC for Brookline Subdivision Phases 5, 6, and 7.
Mr. Mayor, I make a
Yes.
motion for the approval of the agenda items as written.
Second motion.
Properly moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item number 31 is a settlement. Alderwoman Shabazz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion to authorize the city attorney's office to settle the claim of the owner of 101 East Gaston Street in the amount of $124,792.
Second.
Properly moved and seconded that we authorize the city manager's office to settle the claim of the owner at 101 East Gaston Street in the amount of $124,792. You've heard the motion. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Ladies and gentlemen, 3
Mr.
minutes
Mayor.
before 5, that ends our agenda. Couple of quick things. First of all, we want to wish Alderwoman Carolyn Bell a happy anniversary. Happy anniversary. We want to wish.
54 years.
How many?
54 years to
All
the
right.
same man.
And I was going to wish Joe Bell a happy anniversary. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Alderwoman Bernetta Lanier, January 2nd.
Hey.
Happy birthday to you. And we have Alderman Pertee.
Yes, real quick, Mr. Mayor, just wanted to announce that, as an older person, you get to know your community members, and wanted to give a shout out to an amazing 89-year-old woman that passed away in Coffee Bluff, Mr. Agnes Priester. She passed away with a family illness, but she was born in Coffee Bluff, was the last surviving member of her family, a family whose story was captured in histories and collected and documented in books from Roosevelt era. She was an advocate for the Cedar Grove Cemetery and the generations of folks that
I'm gonna do it.
and the generations of folks that live in that area. So I just wanted to recognize that she had passed away, and we lift up her family and friends in our community in prayer. Even though this Coffee Bluff matriarch, the strong branch of the Coffee Bluff family tree, has fallen, we will continue to celebrate her life and honor her legacy in the Coffee Bluff area.
May her memory be a blessing. Alderwoman Bell. Alderwoman Miller Blakely.
Thank you. I want to send deepest sympathies and sincere condolences to the family of John McMasters, who was eulogized on Monday. He was a pioneer here in our city. He was a commissioner, a Chatham County commissioner, and he was also instrumental in educating a lot of us that sits up here on this dais to this day about the politics and the politricks of our city government. And so to his family, our deepest and sincere condolences. Thank you.
Condolences to his family.
Real quick. Yes, thank you for the happy birthday acknowledgement, which was actually last Thursday, but I want to say happy birthday to my only grandson, 4 years old, Muhammad, today. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Muhammad. Alderman Leggett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I think you also, Mr. Mayor, you might know this lady, her to the life of Miss Elise Kelly True,
Yes.
who lived in Cloverdale. She died over the week, and her funeral will be tomorrow. Also, Mr. Mayor, I want to thank you for assisting myself in Chatham Area Transit with the Juliet Gordon Lowe 2 and the Susie King Taylor 2. Both vessels were christened in New York. And I also want to give a shout out to Chatham County government, the Chamber of Savannah, and Visit Savannah also, who traveled with us to New York. And both of those vessels will be in the city of Savannah in the next coming weeks.
Don't ever invite me nothing that cold again.
Will they be
18
christened
degrees.
once they
Mr.
get
Mayor.
here?
Yes.
Quickly,
Let me just, so these two ships were built by Director.
Ferries.
The two ferries, and so they were built in Merrimack, New York. They're finishing their trials. They'll be put on a barge, and they'll come here, and we'll have a welcoming and christening celebration for them. They are the first two hybrid ferries ever built in the nation. And they're coming here to Savannah. So.
And the names.
Susie King Taylor, 2, and Julie Gordon Lowe, 2.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to wish happy birthday to my favorite grandson, Nicholas Martin Bell.
The
who
only
turned
grandson.
15. I know. He called that my only grandson.
Mayor Johnson, since we're doing that,
15.
my granddaughter, I want to wish her a happy birthday, who was born on the same day as Alderwoman Lanier, Taraji.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Taraji.
birthday, baby.
All right.
All right. That's it.
Alderwoman,
Now you can go home.
Alderwoman
Wilder
Wilder Bryan.
You forgot we've been in so long.
Yes.
Okay, so just have a couple of them. I'm excited and grateful to have the CEO, Zevrick Samples, who is just an ordinary, just a beast of what he does. Habitat Humana is going to be sending about 40 to 50 volunteers to Fernwood, Parkwood to clean up. Forest Hill is planning a association meeting. They've been defunct for a while. Mr. Mayor and City Manager, I'm also petitioning the churches in the 3rd District to see if we can partner to create some more spaces for these association meetings for just lead an hour. They may even get some new members. The other thing is I want to make sure that we congratulate. It's been a great week for Savannah economy. President Mosley from Local 1414 and his counterparts. The strike is over. They got a 61.5 pay increase over the 6 years, an unheard of precedent from $39 to $63. It was a good day this week. Thank you so much. Yes.
Are you sharing your cake?
Yes.
It's for all of us, right?
It was for me, but I'll share.
You might as well share.
We passed the civility ordinance 9-0. I will share the cake and the fruit.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to ask that city council members, would you join with me, along with Team Savannah and the city of Savannah, in recognizing and celebrating with us our mayor, Mayor Van Johnson, who has been named for the fourth consecutive time as one of the 100 most influential persons in the state of Georgia. Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. I'm influential because of y'all, because of our city.
And one more thing I would like to mention is that this very huge thing that I couldn't hardly contain myself during our last city council meeting, and I was buzzing up and blowing up the mayor's telephone. But I need to say this, that our mayor is going to be the second mayor of the history and herstory of the city of Savannah. In the next 2 years, he will become the president of the National League of Cities, because he has been elected and appointed and everything else as the second vice president of the National League of Cities.
Yeah.
This is very, very huge of all of us who understand. And we're talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of cities, towns, and villages throughout this nation of these United States of America. And we are represented. Savannah is on the map, y'all. I'm here to tell you, because I travel around the country with him, with all this work. So it is our mayor. In the next 2 years is going to make history and herstory again. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. Thank God. Thank you.
That's it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, 5:05. Make it a great